Chapter 1, Goddess at the Door, System Awakens. Su Mengyao.
Lin Chen was stunned to see the beautiful woman outside the door.
Memories from 3 years ago instantly flooded his mind.
He had rented a house outside the school during his senior year, and Su Mengyao was a sophomore and the ice-cold beauty queen of their school. One night, he saw Su Mengyao looking terrified, and after asking her what was wrong, she begged him to take her home.
Once they arrived home, Lin Chen was about to call the police.
But the flushed Su Mengyao actually started to take off her clothes. She had been drugged, and she stopped Lin Chen from calling the police.
That night was like a dream. Lin Chen never expected that he would get Su Mengyao's virginity. Unfortunately, Su Mengyao left the next day. What's more, Su Mengyao dropped out of school and went abroad to go to university. Xixi, come here. Say hello to daddy. Su Mengyao looked aside. Behind the door, a cute little girl timidly came to Lin Chen. She looked at Lin Chen with her beautiful big eyes. Are you my father? Lin Chen couldn't believe it.
He looked at Su Mengyao in shock.
Su Mengyao calmly said, I got pregnant with Xixi that time.
The doctor said that my constitution was not good and that I might only be able to get pregnant with this baby in my life, so I gave birth to Xixi. I originally planned to raise her on my own and not bother you, but other children have dads, and Xixi also wants a dad.
And I've been busy recently. Can you take care of Xixi for a while?
Just then, a strange voice rang in Lin Chen's mind. Super Daddy system activated.
Host, you don't need to doubt it. The little girl in front of you is your daughter. This system will help you become a super invincible daddy.
Lin Chen was full of surprise. Suddenly, he had a super cute daughter, and he had even awakened the Super Daddy system.
This was the rhythm of reaching the pinnacle of life. Su Mengyao, you guys come in quickly. Lin Chen said. Su Mengyao shook her head and said, I'm not going in. Xixi is your daughter, you don't need to doubt that.
You can do a paternity test, but we have no relationship.
Xixi, he's your father. Don't you always say you want to find your father?
Other children have fathers, and Xixi also has a father.
Su Mengyao knelt down and kissed Lin Xiaoxi. Father.
Lin Xiaoxi called sweetly. This father made Lin Chen's heart melt.
Xiaoqian, you're so good.
Lin Chen said a little helplessly. Su Mengyao got up and took out a business card. This is my contact information. If there is anything important, you can contact me, but if it's not important, don't call.
This suitcase contains Xixi's clothes.
She is a bit of a picky eater, so you need to pay more attention to what she eats.
Lin Chen asked, when is Xixi's birthday? Su Mengyao, Xixi's birthday is March 6th.
She is a little over 2 years old now, so you just need to take her to kindergarten.
Xixi, you have to listen to your father. Mommy has something to do, so I'll come visit you again in a while.
Lin Xiaoxian nodded, and said like a little adult, Mommy, don't be afraid if you're alone. I'll stay with Daddy for a while, because Daddy will definitely be lonely alone.
Okay. Su Mengyao reluctantly left.
Lin Chen bent down and picked up Lin Xiaoqian. Lin Xiaoqian looked a lot like him, and according to the system, this cute little girl was definitely his daughter.
Daddy, I'm so happy. Other kids have dads, and I have a dad too.
Lin Xiaoxi said excitedly. Lin Chen carried Lin Xiaoxi in one arm and carried the suitcase in the other arm.
This suitcase looked very expensive. Dad, you live in a small place. Lin Xiaoxi looked around.
Lin Chen rented this house, which had 1 room and 1 living room. The house was not big, but it was enough for him to live alone.
Plus, Lin Xiaoxi was a bit small.
The living room in this house is relatively small, so Lin Xiaoxi can't play around.
Lin Xiaoxi, did you live in a big house before? Lin Chen asked. Lin Xiaoxi nodded, yes.
My mom's house is huge, like a castle, but my mom is sometimes away, and I'm not happy with the 2 aunts.
I like my mom and dad.
Lin Chen kissed Lin Xiaoxi's cheek and said, Dad likes Xiaoxi too.
Dad is going to find a bigger house these 2 days. The company's performance is not good, and he was laid off last month.
Fortunately, he is relatively frugal, and the company that laid him off also paid him some compensation.
He now has about 60,000 yuan in his bank card. Dad, why don't you live with Mom? Lin Xiaoxi asked with confusion.
Although she acted like a little adult, she didn't know about these things. Lin Chen patted her little head. Xiaoxi, let me ask you a question.
Has Mom brought any other uncles home?
He had had sex with Su Mengyao, and they had a daughter together, so naturally he had some thoughts about Su Mengyao.
But if Su Mengyao has someone else, it's fine.
Even if she is very beautiful, Lin Chen doesn't want to be green-eyed.
No.
Lin Xiaoqian shook her head.
Lin Chen's eyes lit up, so there is still hope.
3 years ago, Su Mengyao was the school flower. She was very beautiful, and 3 years later, Lin Chen felt that she was even more beautiful.
If I can woo her, I'll be so happy. Xiaoqian, play with yourself for a while. Dad will pack your things first.
Lin Chen smiled and dragged his suitcase to the bedroom. When he opened the suitcase, Lin Chen froze. Inside the suitcase was a bag containing bundles of money. Lin Chen looked and saw that there was a total of 60,000 yuan.
There was also a note inside the bag. Lin Chen, this is 3 months' living expenses for you.
I know you don't have a job yet, so you take care of Xixi for now.
When Xixi goes to kindergarten, you won't need to take care of her anymore.
Lin Chen muttered to himself, Su Mengyao is quite considerate. She is afraid that he will mistreat Lin Xiaoxi and has given him living expenses. However, Lin Chen does not plan to use this money. Lin Xiaoxi is his daughter, it is only natural for him to raise and take care of her. He does not need Su Mengyao to give him living expenses.
Soon Lin Chen finished sorting Lin Xiaoxi's clothes.
A system voice sounded in Lin Chen's mind, host packing suitcase, system space opened, system space 1000 cubic meters, can store touched items in it. Lin Chen was surprised.
Packing a suitcase opened the system space?
1000 cubic meters was not particularly large, but it was more than enough.
The interior space of an ordinary villa might not be that big. Store.
Lin Chen moved his thoughts. The bag containing the money was stored in the system space.
The next second, the bag was in his hands again. It was easy to put things away and take them out. Cool. Lin Chen was overjoyed.
Even if there were no other benefits, with just 1000 cubic system spaces, if he made good use of them, he could make a fortune. Life was truly amazing.
After being single for 24 years, he had a lovely daughter.
Lin Chen muttered to himself. He was very happy, but also a little lost.
He couldn't adapt so quickly to suddenly becoming a father. Chapter 2: Cooking and Physical Fitness Improvement. Should I tell my parents?
Lin Chen muttered to himself. After considering for a while, he decided to keep it a secret for now. For the time being, he was still a little dazed himself. It was also hard to explain the situation with Su Mengyao. It would be better to wait until he had adjusted to the situation before telling his parents.
Xixi, what kind of dishes do you like?
Lin Chen asked as he returned to the living room and picked up Lin Xiaoxi in his arms. Lin Xiaoqian is very small, soft and cute, and it is very comfortable to hold in your arms. Lin Chen's face unconsciously revealed a smile.
Dad, I like to eat meat. I also like to eat eggs.
I don't like to eat green vegetables, they are not tasty. Lin Xiaoqian said sweetly. Lin Chen smiled and said, Xiaoqian, you need to eat meat and vegetables. If you only eat meat, your stomach will hurt.
Do you eat the meals made by your aunt at home?
Yes.
Lin Xiaoqian nodded.
She leaned her little head close to Lin Chen's ear and whispered, Dad, I'll tell you a secret.
Mom doesn't cook well, but I eat more when she cooks. Lin Chen was puzzled and asked, why?
Lin Xiaoqian giggled and said, that way, Mom will be at home more often, and I'll see her more often. Lin Chen was stunned. He never imagined that such words would come from the mouth of such a young child. She was so sensible that it made him feel a little sad.
Xiaoqian, Mommy is very busy.
But Daddy is not busy, and Daddy will have a lot of time to spend with you. Lin Chen kissed Lin Xiaoqian tenderly.
Some kids say I don't have a dad. They are all wrong, I do have a dad, and my dad is the best dad.
Lin Xiaoqian's eyes turned into crescent moons as she smiled.
Lin Chen asked, Xiaoqian, where are your grandparents? Su Mengyao is busy at work and doesn't have much time. Her parents don't have time either, so how come no one takes care of Lin Xiaoxi?
It seems that when Su Mengyao is not around, it's the nanny who takes care of her. Lin Xiaoxi said with a sigh, Grandma is sick, and Grandpa is accompanying her overseas for treatment.
I miss them.
Lin Chen hurriedly said, Xiaoxi, your grandparents must miss you too.
They will come back to see you when they have time. Lin Xiaoxi nodded. Dad, why didn't you come find me and Mom?
Lin Chen sighed inwardly.
That night with Su Mengyao was an accident. The aftermath of this accident was very strong.
Having slept with such a beautiful schoolgirl as Su Mengyao had raised his standards. As a result, he was still single. The situation with mom and dad is a bit complicated, you're still young and don't understand. You play for a while by yourself, dad's going to go cook for you. Eat well, and you'll understand when you grow up. Lin Chen stroked Lin Xiaoxi's head and said. Lin Xiaoqian nodded. Lin Chen went to the kitchen and got busy. Normally, he would only need to cook one dish for himself, but with Lin Xiaoqian, he would need at least 3 dishes for every meal. He liked spicy food, so he would have to put chili peppers in one dish, and the other 2 dishes would have to be suitable for Lin Xiaoqian without chili peppers. In the blink of an eye, 5 minutes passed. A system voice sounded in Lin Chen's head, "Host, your cooking skills are beginning to improve. For every hour you spend in the kitchen, you will gain 1 year of chef experience." Lin Chen was overjoyed. Every hour spent in the kitchen would increase his experience by 1 year. Wouldn't that mean he could become a chef in 10 days or 2 weeks? If he spent 2 hours a day on cooking, 3 meals a day, he would be a 5-star chef in no time. In 3 months, he would be a culinary god. Time passed by quickly. Lin Chen's mind was flooded with all kinds of experiences, which he integrated into his cooking. I made this? Lin Chen couldn't believe it when he saw the 3 dishes he had created. He had actually been cooking for 2 or 3 years, but he had been doing it in a perfunctory manner, so he couldn't really call it 2 or 3 years' experience. This meal had given him more experience than all his previous meals put together. Dad, it smells good. Are you tired, Dad? Lin Xiaoxi came over and asked innocently. Lin Chen smiled and said, No, Dad's not tired. Dad's going to take you to wash your hands. We have to wash our hands before we eat, right? After washing his hands, Lin Chen picked Lin Xiaoxi up and carried her back to the table. He noticed a problem. Without a baby chair, Lin Xiaoqian couldn't sit and eat. Looks like I need to hurry up and find a new place. Lin Chen thought to himself. His current apartment was too small, with a living room of only 10 square meters and no dining room at all. There was no place to put a dining chair. Xiaoqian, sit next to Daddy, and Daddy will feed you. Lin Chen said with a smile. He used a spoon to feed Lin Xiaoqian a small mouthful. Lin Xiaoqian tasted it and said happily, Dad, the food you cook tastes much better than the food Mom cooks. This is our little secret, don't tell Mom. Okay, this is our little secret. Lin Chen said with a smile. After finishing the meal, Lin Chen discovered that Lin Xiaoqian really didn't like vegetables. She hardly ate any of the vegetables he had fried. Lin Chen didn't force her to eat them either. Once his cooking skills improve, he is sure she will eat them. Dad, I'm a little sleepy. I want to go to sleep. If I fall asleep, Dad, you won't leave, will you? Lin Xiaoqian looked at Lin Chen with some concern. It was hard to wait for her father, and she didn't want to lose him. Of course not. Dad will definitely stay at home with you. Lin Chen carried Lin Xiaoqian to his bed. The sheets had only been changed yesterday, so there was no need to change them again. Kiss, Daddy. Lin Xiaoqian kissed Lin Chen before closing her eyes for a nap. Lin Chen looked at Lin Xiaoqian adoringly. His own precious daughter, no matter how he looked at her, she was just adorable. System, can washing the dishes increase my chef experience? Lin Chen went to the kitchen and started tidying up the dishes. Okay. Lin Chen smiled, this way his experience would increase even faster. System, I like you. After washing the dishes, Lin Chen clearly felt that his cooking skills had improved again. I need to clean up. It doesn't matter if I just order whatever I want, but since Xiaoqian is so young, if the house is dirty, she will get sick more easily. Lin Chen seized the opportunity to clean up. An hour later. Host, you have worked for an hour, and your physical fitness has increased a little. The normal physical fitness of an average adult male is 60 points. The system's voice once again sounded in Lin Chen's mind. System, what is the approximate physical fitness of a top boxer? Lin Chen asked in his mind. System, host, the physique of a top boxer is about 3 times that of an ordinary adult man. Doubling your physique can increase your combat effectiveness by more than 10 times. System, what is my physique? System, host, your initial physique was exactly 60 points, and now it has increased by 1 point to 61 points. Every day, the upper limit of your physique increase is 3 points. You can increase your physique through labor or exercise. Lin Chen nodded slightly. Increasing by 3 points a day was not a small amount. In just 1 month, he can increase his physical fitness by 90 points, which, combined with the original 60 points, can reach 150 points. The top boxer has 3 times the physical fitness of an ordinary man, which is 180 points. If he improves his physical fitness every day, it will only take a little over a month for him to surpass the top boxer.
Chapter 3, Renting a New House. I don't know if there are any houses for rent in Zun community. Lin Chen took out his phone and looked it up.
Zun community is a high-end community nearby. The community has a very nice garden and there are also amusement facilities for children to play on.
Lin Chen has been there before and feels quite good about it.
It's just that the houses in Zun community were something he never dared to think about before.
So expensive.
Lin Chen muttered. He found out that the smallest area of the houses in Zun community is 160 square meters, and the cheapest house rent is more than 10,000. Moreover, the houses with cheap rents are generally poorly decorated. The rents of the well-decorated houses are all above 15,000. He is now in the Magic City, where housing prices are high and rents are naturally high as well. But such rents are really unaffordable for the average person.
Should I rent here?
Lin Chen thought to himself. If it were just him, he definitely wouldn't consider it. With such an expensive rent, he wouldn't be able to earn that much money in a month. But now he still has a little darling. He also awakened the system. If I rent a 15,000 yuan one and put down 1 month's rent and 3 months deposit, I'll have to pay 60,000 yuan. I only have a total of 60,000 to 70,000 yuan in my bank card. Lin Chen thought of the 60,000 yuan left by Su Mengyao. He had the system, so it would not be a problem to make money in the future and pay Su Mengyao back. I have 60,000 to 70,000 yuan myself. Su Mengyao doesn't need to use much of that money. Lin Chen thought carefully. He still decided to rent a house in Zun community. With the system, renting a poor quality house might not last long and he would have to change it again. He had to consider Lin Xiaoxi. After moving, Lin Xiaoxi will definitely make friends, but if they move again, she will have to make new friends all over again.
Oh no!
Suddenly Lin Xiaoxi's crying voice came from the room.
Lin Chen quickly went into the room. Xiaoxi, what's wrong? Daddy is here, don't be afraid, Daddy will protect you. Daddy, I woke up and didn't see you. I'm afraid you don't want Xiaoxi anymore.
Lin Xiaoxi wiped away her tears and said with a pout. Lin Chen picked her up. How could that be?
Daddy promises that he will never give up on Xixi. Come on, let's pinky swear, and whoever lies will become a puppy.
Lin Xiaoqian and Lin Chen pinky switched.
Daddy, I need to pee.
Lin Chen carried Lin Xiaoqian to the bathroom. Lin Xiaoqian said doubtfully, Daddy, Mommy holds me while she sits to pee. How do I pee like this?
Lin Chen guessed that Su Menyao's place had a toilet. He squats here. Dad is holding you while you pee. Shoo.
Lin Chen held Lin Xiaoxi as she peed. He was secretly glad that Lin Xiaoxi knew how to scream, otherwise if she wet the bed without warning, he would have a lot of trouble.
Xiaoxi, what did you usually do in the afternoon? Lin Chen asked.
Lin Xiaoxian thought for a moment and said, when my mom was at home, she would teach me to recite ancient poems, take me to paint, and sing to me.
Dad, I'll let Mom sing to you in the future. Mom's singing is really nice.
Lin Chen thought to himself, this is not going to be easy. He and Su Mengyao had only known each other before, and he had gotten her first time and had a child in a days, but he and Su Mengyao simply did not have any emotional foundation.
What about when Mom's not around?
Lin Xiaoqian said with a sulky voice, when my mom is not around, I just play at home by myself.
Sometimes my aunt pushes me downstairs to play. My aunt is not as good as my mom. I like my mom. I also like my dad.
Lin Chen patted Lin Xiaoqian's head. Although the child is young, she understands a lot of things.
They can feel who is really good to them.
Su Mengyao can afford a nanny, but a good one is hard to find.
Xiaoqian's father, let's go look at a house. We'll move to a new house, this one is too small for the two of us.
Lin Chen said, picking Lin Xiaoqian up.
Lin Xiaoqian happily said, yes, yes.
Dad, that I'll have to buy a lot of toys in the future. Mom has a lot of toys, but Dad doesn't have any.
No problem.
Lin Chen said cheerfully.
Soon Lin Chen was holding Lin Xiaoqian as he walked out the door. System, is holding Xiaoqian considered exercise? Lin Chen asked in his mind.
Host,
it counts if it's more than 5 minutes. Lin Chen's face showed a smile, the system is really understanding.
Holding Lin Xiaoxi for more than 5 minutes is considered, plus the labor and stuff, every day your physical fitness can steadily increase by 3 points.
Dad, are you tired?
If you're tired, Xiaoxi can come down and walk by herself.
Lin Xiaoxi's soft and plump voice sounded just outside the residential area.
Lin Chen's heart warmed, his own daughter is really a sweetheart.
Dad's not tired. Lin Chen kissed Lin Xiaoxi's cheek and smiled.
Ziyuan community was a couple of kilometers away, and Lin Xiaoxi wasn't heavy, so Lin Chen simply carried her over. Today, his constitution had only increased by a little. He definitely had to raise the remaining 2 points to the right level.
Hello, I'd like to rent a house in Ziyuan community. I want the decoration to be environmentally friendly. Do you have any good recommendations? Lin Chen arrived at an agency outside Ziyuan community.
The agent quickly recommended a few houses to Lin Chen, including 2 with large areas and another with poor decoration, which Lin Chen directly passed.
I want to take a look at the remaining 3. Lin Chen said. Okay.
The agent enthusiastically showed Lin Chen around. After looking at the first 2, Lin Chen was not very satisfied, mainly because the style of decoration was not the kind he liked. He asked Lin Xiaoxian, who also said she didn't like it.
Mr. Lin, this last one is quite nicely decorated.
But this house has a bit of a special situation. The owner entrusted it to us because he wanted us to help him sell it. Recently, the market has been so bad that it's hard to sell, so he's changed to renting it out.
The agent explained as they walked. What's so special about it? Lin Chen asked.
The agent said, the owner wants to sell the house more, so he can't rent it for a long time. When the market improves, the owner may sell it.
Also, the house is new and no one has lived in it yet.
If you bring your child here and he damages something, there could be some trouble.
Lin Chen, let's take a look first.
It wasn't long before Lin Chen and the others arrived inside the house.
Lin Xiaoxian's eyes lit up. Daddy, I like this one.
Lin Chen hugged Lin Xiaoxian and looked around.
The decoration and view of this house were very good, and he liked it too. Xiaoxian is a good girl and won't damage anything.
If she does, I will naturally compensate for the damage.
How much is the rent for this apartment? Lin Chen asked the agent.
The agent said, Mr. Lin, the price is 15,000 yuan, no discount.
There may be some discount for the other 2 apartments.
The rent is 1 month's deposit and 1 month's rent, the lease term is not fixed, and the rent is paid at the end of the month.
The advantage is that the agent fee for this apartment is borne by the landlord. Lin Chen's eyes lit up. 1 month's deposit and 1 month's rent, and no agent fee, it's exactly what he wants. If the landlord wants to sell the house, will there still be people looking at it? Lin Chen asked. The agent said, yes.
Mr. Lin, if a customer wants to see the house, we will look at it together at a fixed time every week, and it will definitely take less than half an hour.
What do you think? Lin Chen asked Lin Xiaoxian, what do you think, Xiaoxian? Dad, Xiaoxian likes it here.
Lin Xiaoxian said happily. Lin Chen said, I want to know the reason why the owner wants to sell the house.
I also have a small request. The house cannot be a problematic house.
The agent said, the owner's son wants to study abroad. The cost of studying abroad is high, so he wants to sell the house.
Mr. Lin, what are your requirements?
Lin Chen said, don't show the house to anyone for 3 months. If I like it and the price is right, I'll buy it. He only has a few tens of thousands of dollars in his account right now. System space of 1,000 cubic meters, if it is used well, it is not difficult to earn 10 to 20 million in 3 months.
Mr. Lin, let me communicate with the landlord. The agent quickly called the landlord. Mr. Lin, the landlord agrees.
Soon Lin Chen and the others returned to the store and signed the contract.
30,000 yuan was transferred.
He still had 30 to 40,000 yuan left that did not need to be moved from Su Mengyao's money.
Xiaoxian, tomorrow we move.
Lin Chen said with a smile.
Chapter 4 Su Mengyao's Wealth.
Lin Chen took Lin Xiaoxi back to the rented house.
Dad, why are we here again? Aren't we moving tomorrow? Lin Xiaoxi asked curiously.
Lin Chen smiled and said, no one has lived here for a long time.
Xiaoxi, do you see that it's a bit dirty everywhere?
Dad needs to clean the house. That way, tomorrow we just need to move our things over.
Lin Xiaoxi nodded and said, Dad, I'll help you.
Okay.
With you helping me, we'll definitely be able to clean up faster.
Lin Shen said with a smile. Soon Lin Shen rolled up his sleeves and got to work.
Lin Xiaoxi helped out next to him.
She was only 2 years and 2 months old, and she was tiny, so what could she possibly help with? But having her there filled the air with joy.
Ding.
Host, your physical fitness has increased by 1. Today, your physical fitness has increased by 3 points, reaching the upper limit of growth.
An hour later, the system voice sounded in Lin Shen's mind. Lin Shen's face revealed a smile.
Holding Lin Xiaoxian to work together, he easily reached the upper limit. From now on, his physical fitness should be able to increase by 3 points every day.
Xiaoxian, we're done for the day. We've already made it pretty clean.
Lin Shen smiled as he gave the floor one last mop. Lin Xiaoxian happily said, Dad, you're so great. I want tomorrow to come quickly so we can move to our new home.
Xiaoxian liked it here.
Lin Shen's gaze swept over the place. After cleaning it, it looked even better. He was quite satisfied with every aspect of the house. He had to find a way to earn money to buy this house. Otherwise, if the landlord sold the house and moved, Xixi would probably cry. Lin Shen thought to himself. The average price of a house in the Devil Metropolis had dropped a bit, now 57,000 yuan. The Yuan community was a high-end community, much more expensive, with an average price of just over 80,000 yuan. The total price of this house was 13 million yuan.
Xixi, let's go. Daddy will go home and cook you something delicious.
Lin Shen carried Lin Xiaoxian home. There was someone selling books from a stall by the roadside, and Lin Shen bought a few storybooks.
Daddy, will you read me a story first?
Back home, Lin Xiaoxian held the storybook expectantly.
Okay. But Daddy will cook dinner first.
Lin Shen said with a smile. After cooking the rice, Lin Shen took Lin Xiaoxian to the balcony. His house had a balcony, but it was quite small. Xiaoxian, this story is called The Ugly Duckling. Lin Shen hugged Lin Xiaoxian and slowly told him the story.
5 minutes passed.
The system's voice sounded in Lin Shen's mind. Host, your reading volume and creativity of fairy tales have begun to improve. The difficulty of both is lower than that of physical improvement. Accumulate 10 hours of storytelling and you can reach a very high level. Lin Shen said in his mind, System, you can't judge me like this. Levels 1 to 5, level 1 is ordinary, level 2 is proficient, level 3 is a master, level 4 is a grandmaster, and level 5 is the highest level in the world, the grandmaster.
How high can I go?
System, you can reach the grandmaster level in 10 hours. You can reach the grandmaster level in 20 hours.
Host, there are higher levels above that.
Lin Shen said, then, level 6 is legendary, and level 7 is mythical.
Okay, host.
Various skills will be divided according to the levels you mentioned. The system was very considerate. Lin Xiaoxian looked up and said with a smile, Daddy, why did you stop?
Are you tired?
Lin Shen smiled and said, Daddy thought of something else. Lin Shen continued telling the story.
A lot of story knowledge kept popping up in his mind.
His story reading system was helping to increase his knowledge, and at the same time, his story creation ability was also rapidly improving. These days, parents are willing to spend a lot of money on their children, and if he can publish a good story, he won't make less money. But if he wants to make money, he has to improve his abilities first.
After accompanying Lin Xiaoxi for half an hour, Lin Shen smiled and said, Xiaoxi, why don't you watch for a while by yourself? Daddy has to go cook dinner, and there's some meat you like.
After half an hour, Lin Shen had finished cooking.
Daddy, it's delicious. It's even better than lunch. Lin Xiaoxi said happily after trying it.
Lin Shen gave Lin Xiaoxian some vegetables and said, Xiaoxian, eat some vegetables.
We can't be picky eaters. Dad, I'll eat a little. Just a little.
Lin Xiaoxian really only ate a little. Lin Shen's face beamed with a smile. Compared to lunch, there was progress, as she hadn't eaten any vegetables at lunch.
After dinner, Lin Shen gave Lin Xiaoxian a bath and changed into her pajamas.
Then he took a quick shower himself.
Xiaoxian, what's wrong?
Lin Shen noticed Lin Xiaoxi crying when he came out of the bathroom.
Dad, I miss Mom.
2 tears were hanging on Lin Xiaoxi's little face.
Xiaoxian, Mom will come and see you in a few days. Now Mom is working, let's not disturb her, okay? Dad will continue to tell you stories. Lin Shen hugged Lin Xiaoxi tightly and said. Su Mengyao didn't add him to WeChat, so they couldn't video chat.
Lin Xiaoxi didn't add him to WeChat, which means that in her heart, she is still quite resistant to him. Lin Shen didn't take the initiative to mention it either, for fear of being rejected.
An hour later, Lin Xiaoxi fell asleep while listening to the story.
Having a precious daughter has awakened the system, improving his cooking, physical fitness, and fairy tale storytelling abilities.
A perfect day.
Lin Shen's face broke into a smile.
System, I'm going to practice something else now. Will other abilities appear? Lin Chen asked in his mind.
System, you won't get it by doing this on purpose. It will naturally appear as you spend time with your child.
Lin Chen nodded slightly. That's good, I don't have to rack my brains to figure out how to improve. Mengyao, what are you worried about? Are you bothered by all that money and don't know what to spend it on?
Su Mengyao's best friend, Xixi, asked. Xinxi's family was quite wealthy, with assets of 30 million, but compared to the wealth Su Mengyao had, it was nothing. Su Mengyao's parents had laid a solid foundation for her, and a year ago when the group passed into her hands, the assets were 40 to 50 billion.
The Su family holds 51% of the shares.
Su Mengyao is quite capable and has a lot of luck. After her parents left her to go abroad, the group's assets reached 60 billion.
The Su family's share amounts to 30 billion.
Su Mengyao's parents only have her as a child, and all of this will be hers in the future.
I've sent Xixi to Lin Chen's side. Su Mengyao took a sip of red wine and said. Huh?
Xinxiang looked at Su Mengyao in surprise. She was Su Mengyao's best friend, and she knew what had happened back then.
Mengyao, do you want to be with Lin Chen?
Su Mengyao shook her head. I don't have that thought. He and I are from two different worlds, and we don't fit at all.
It was Xixi who said she wanted a father. She's over 2 years old and starting to understand things.
She envies the other children when she sees them with their fathers. She also feels sad when the other children say she doesn't have a father.
Xinxiang, Mengyao, don't you ever want to find someone to marry?
Su Mengyao said, I may not be able to have any more children, and the probability.
Baby.
Lin Chen smiled. You're such a good girl.
Go back to sleep. Lin Chen woke up when it was already light. Lin Xiaoqian woke up first, and she didn't wake Lin Chen up.
When she saw Lin Chen wake up, she giggled and said, Daddy, I woke up first.
Mom says that being a good baby means going to bed early and waking up early. Lin Chen smiled and said, Of course Xiaoqian is a good baby.
Lin Xiaoqian snuggled into Lin Chen's arms and said, Daddy, I want to wake up and see you, and I also want to wake up and see Mommy.
That way I'll be very happy.
Lin Chen thought to himself, I also want to wake up and see Su Mengyao.
Xiaoqian, Mommy is really busy. Lin Chen stroked Lin Xiaoqian's little head and said.
Lin Xiaoqian thoughtfully said, Daddy, I miss Mommy.
I want to call Mommy.
Lin Chen sat up and said, Xiaoqian, you've only been with Daddy for a day. If Daddy calls now, Mommy will think Daddy can't take care of you properly.
Let's get up and have breakfast, then we'll move, okay? Lin Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. Yes, let's move to a new home. Lin Chen let out a sigh of relief. It's a good thing children are so gullible.
Su Mengyao had told him not to call unless it was important.
The two of them soon got up. Dad, I don't have a toothbrush.
Mom says if I don't brush my teeth, I'll get worms.
Lin Xiaoqian said in a baby voice.
Lin Chen felt a little embarrassed.
Lin Xiaoqian had a towel in her suitcase, but no toothbrush. He hadn't bought one yesterday either.
He had no experience being a father for the first time.
Xiaoqian, let's go out and buy it.
There is a small supermarket nearby, and Lin Chen quickly bought it back.
Xiaoqian, do you like noodles for breakfast? Lin Chen asked. Dad, is there meat in the noodles? Yes, there must be.
After breakfast, Lin Chen packed his things and moved. He didn't have much stuff, and some things he wasn't going to get again. After packing his suitcase, he took a taxi and moved over.
At a little after 9, Lin Chen arrived at his new home. With a few more purchases, they would be able to settle in their new home. Xiaoqian, let's go to the supermarket. We'll buy some food and cook you a nice lunch.
Ziyuan community has a supermarket and Lin Chen took Lin Xiaoqian there to buy a lot of things.
Dad, I want to draw. I want to draw you and Mommy and the baby. Lin Xiaoqian said happily, holding the paintbrushes she had just bought. Okay.
Lin Chen prepared some drawing materials for Lin Xiaoxi, but she couldn't draw well, so he held her little hand and taught her.
5 minutes passed.
Host, your drawing skills are beginning to improve. Accumulate 10 hours, and your drawing skills will be able to reach the master realm.
20 hours to the Grandmaster realm.
The system's voice sounded in Lin Shen's mind. Lin Shen smiled at the corner of his mouth. Teaching his daughter to draw, his drawing skills could reach the master realm in just 10 hours.
The system is awesome.
If this continues, he will definitely become an all-around dad. A lot of painting experience kept flooding into Lin Shen's mind, and with the help of the system, he quickly digested and absorbed it.
Dad, you're so awesome. Dad, would you teach me to paint? Lin Xiaoqian looked at Lin Chen with admiration. Lin Chen kissed Lin Xiaoqian. Of course I would. Apart from painting, is there anything else you want Dad to teach you? Lin Xiaoxi counted on her fingers. I want you to teach me to draw, sing, swim, and I also want you to teach me to play football. Yan Yang has a big football.
He said he wouldn't play with me if I didn't. Lin Chen laughed in his heart.
Playing football at the age of 2? But if my daughter likes it, I have to support her.
If I teach her casually, I think I can become a football star myself. Xixi, there's no problem with me teaching you these things.
But if there are things you know, can you also teach me?
Lin Shen said with a smile. Lin Xiaoxi tilted her head and thought about it for a while, and then a few English words popped out of her mouth. Dad, I can speak some English.
How about I teach you English? Okay. We have a deal.
Lin Shen said with a smile. Lin Xiaoxi said seriously, Dad, put your hands down, I'm going to start class.
Good morning is said like this. Lin Xiaoxi taught it like a pro. 5 minutes passed.
The system's voice sounded in Lin Shen's head. Host, you will become proficient in English after 3 hours of study. After that, for every 3 hours you teach Lin Xiaoxi a foreign language, you will become proficient in one of the remaining foreign languages, with no upper limit on the number.
Chapter 6, Learning a Foreign Language from Su Mengyao?
Lin Shen gave the system 10,000 likes in his heart.
You can become proficient in a foreign language in just 3 hours. That's pretty efficient.
Although it is not comparable to the fast and crude check-in system, he naturally learned while teaching Xiaoxi.
He really enjoyed the process. Dad, you're not being serious. If you're not serious, you won't get any red flowers.
Lin Xiaoxi said sweetly. Lin Shen came back to his senses. Teacher Xiaoxi is right, I will definitely listen carefully. You continue teaching.
Okay. Lin Xiaoxi continued to teach Lin Chen.
She was born in China, but she spent some time abroad. Su Mengyao also taught her English, and she knows a lot of English, so she is really teaching like a pro at the moment.
Time passes by minute.
A lot of English information floods into Lin Shen's mind. In just 3 hours, he can master English, and in half an hour, Lin Shen has gained much more than he has learned before.
Teacher Lin Chen, can we learn again this afternoon? It's almost noon, and I have to cook for you, Teacher Lin Chen.
Lin Chen raised his hand and smiled. Lin Xiaoqian giggled and said, Dad, class is over, so you can't call me Teacher Xiaoqian anymore.
I'm your baby. Yes, you are my baby.
Lin Chen said, stroking Lin Xiaoqian's little head.
Then I'll go cook for my little baby.
Xiaoqian, you draw and play by yourself, and you can give me a lesson in the afternoon.
Lin Chen quickly went to the kitchen and got busy.
5 minutes passed and his cooking skills began to improve rapidly.
System, the first 5 minutes don't count? Lin Chen asked in his mind.
System said, Host, it only counts if it lasts for more than 5 minutes.
The first 5 minutes are also counted when calculating. I see. 3 minutes of enthusiasm is not enough. But the system's requirements are not high, 5 minutes of enthusiasm is enough.
Half an hour passed and Lin Chen had finished cooking. Dad, it smells so good.
It must be delicious, I want 2 bowls of rice. Lin Xiaoxi came over, smelling the fragrance.
Lin Chen picked Lin Xiaoqian up. Xiaoqian, let's go wash our hands first, and then you can sit in your high chair and eat.
You're not a baby anymore, you can eat by yourself, right?
Lin Xiaoqian nodded repeatedly. Soon Lin Chen took her to wash her hands. Lin Xiaoqian looked at the dishes on the table. Daddy, the food you cooked looks so beautiful, it looks so delicious.
Dad, you're amazing. Lin Chen used baby cutlery to serve Lin Xiaoxi's meal. Xiaoxi, today we'll eat an extra piece of vegetables. Lin Xiaoxi pouted.
But the vegetables didn't taste so bad when she put them in her mouth. This was inseparable from Lin Chen's improved cooking skills. More than 2 hours later, Lin Xiaoxi continued to be an enthusiastic little teacher after her nap. In the morning, Lin Chen only studied for half an hour, and in the afternoon he studied for an hour. Lin Chen felt that he was already able to communicate fluently in English.
System, what is your proficiency standard? Lin Chen asked in his mind.
System said, Host, the proficiency standard is simultaneous interpretation.
Lin Chen. What a proficiency standard.
With this standard, it is estimated that the vast majority of native English speakers will never be able to achieve it in their lifetime. No wonder after 3 hours of study, he still only studied for an hour and a half and felt that he was very good.
Lin Chen, Xixi, it's time for us to go play outside. Didn't we buy a soccer ball? Daddy will take you to play soccer.
Lin Chen said with a smile.
You need to spend an hour or two playing outside every day. Great. Let's go play soccer.
Lin Xiaoxi said happily. When she lived in Su Mengyao's villa, the nanny could push her out to play, but basically would not arrange outdoor sports for her. After all, the children of wealthy families are very.
Little face turned red. Daddy, I don't know anymore. Daddy, you should let Mommy teach you English in the future. Mommy is very good at English. Ask Su Mengyao to learn a foreign language? That seems pretty good. Lin Chen, Xiaoqian, you're amazing. After you taught me, Daddy remembered a lot of English knowledge that I had forgotten before. Why don't I teach you?
The roles of teacher and student have switched. Lin Xiaoqian is a little confused.
How come Daddy is so amazing? Chapter 7 Mom, you need to call your husband. Ding. Lin Chen's phone rang.
The incoming number displayed on the screen was a little strange, so he hung up directly. But soon the other party called again insistently.
Hello. Lin Chen answered the call this time.
Su Mengyao's voice came from the phone. Lin Chen, it's me.
How is Xixi? Is she doing well with you? Lin Chen, she's doing quite well. I'll let Xixi answer the phone. He muttered to himself, didn't Su Mengyao say not to call unless it was important?
Still thinking about Xixi, Su Mengyao called first after all this time. Xixi, draw later, Mommy's calling. Lin Chen handed the phone to Lin Xiaoxi with the ringer turned off. Lin Xiaoxi held the phone in both hands and said happily, Mommy, where are you?
Xixi misses you. Su Mengyao's nose grew moist at the other end of the line. Mommy misses you too, Xixi. Are you doing well with Daddy? Lin Xiaoxi giggled, Mommy, I'm doing great. Daddy's a great cook, and he's so awesome. He's even more awesome than Yang Yang's daddy.
Mommy, come quickly, let's go to bed together.
That way, when I wake up, I can see both you and Daddy. Su Mengyao's face turned slightly red.
Although she had had sex with Lin Chen and had a child, she had been drugged that night and had a very vague memory.
Lin Chen secretly praised Lin Xiaoxi. Good daughter. Lin Chen, are you here? Can you move a little bit away so that Xixi and I can chat? Su Mengyao said.
Lin Xiaoxi said in a baby voice, Mom, other people's mothers call their husbands, so you have to call your husband. Lin Chen quickly said, I'm going to the bathroom, you guys chat.
He quickly walked away. Xixi, your mom and dad are a little special, and you must never say things like that again, okay?
Su Mengyao reminded her. She felt a little funny after she said that.
Lin Xiaoxi was just a little over 2 years old, could she remember? Xixi, are you happy with Dad? If you're not happy, Mommy will let Aunt Xingqing come get you. Su Mengyao said. Lin Xiaoxi hurriedly said, Mom, I don't want to go. I like Dad, Dad is the best dad in the world. Su Mengyao sighed inwardly. It really is true that blood is thicker than water.
After such a short time, Lin Xiaoxi has already become so attached to Lin Chen.
Xixi, Mom is a bit busy and may have to go back a bit later, you have to listen to Dad and eat your food, okay? Don't worry, Mom, I'm a good boy. MMM. Xixi is the best. After chatting for a while, Su Mengyao hung up the phone.
She wasn't in the mood to chat much right now, as her mother had gone into the operating room.
Mengyao, is Xixi doing okay? Su Guofeng, Su Mengyao's father, inquired.
He also missed Lin Xiaoxi, but he didn't want to talk, otherwise Lin Xiaoxi would definitely want to talk to her grandmother, and her grandmother wasn't available right now.
Xixi is fine.
Lin Chen is Xixi's father after all, and Xixi is very close to him.
Su Mengyao said.
Su Guofeng nodded. Lin Chen is Xixi's father, and you are her mother, but you have to keep your distance. You and Lin Chen are from two different worlds. Dad, this is not a slight against him, it's just that your social classes are too different, and you are being wrong by being with him.
Su Mengyao nodded slightly. Dad, I'm sure you'll find your Mr. Right. Su Mengyao was silent.
The events of that year have left a psychological scar on her, and she has no intention of finding a man to marry again.
Dad, if this operation on Mum is successful, will you be able to return to China and take control of the company again? Su Mengyao asked.
Su Guofeng shook his head. Even if the operation is successful, I will definitely need to rest for a few months, so how can I rush back to China so soon?
You can keep control of the company for now, it's fine.
After all, sooner or later, you will have to take control of the family company.
Su Mengyao. Dad, that's not what you said at the beginning.
You said you'd let me manage it for 3 to 5 months, but now it's been over a year.
You're not even 50 years old, and you want to retire already? Su Guofeng coughed lightly. Dad has no choice.
Your mother's condition is serious, and I have to stay with her.
As it turns out, you've done a good job.
Su Mengyao frowned, but I'm so busy managing the company that I don't have much time to spend with Xixi. Su Guofeng said, Mengyao, you can manage the company for another 6 months.
Your mother should recover by then. 6 months, okay.
I only plan to let Lin Chen take care of things for a maximum of 6 months. By then, Xixi will be going to kindergarten, and I will have to spend more time with her.
Su Mengyao said. Su Guofeng nodded. Dad, did you and Mom get divorced? Lin Xiaoxi asked in a baby voice. Huh? Lin Chen looked at Lin Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi, do you know what divorce means? Lin Xiaoxi nodded. I know.
Yuan's mom and dad got divorced, and she said her dad doesn't want her anymore.
Lin Chen picked up Lin Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi, both Mom and Dad will never not want you. Mom and Dad didn't get divorced, so don't think silly things. Lin Chen kissed Lin Xiaoxi. If they want to get divorced, they have to get married first. Xiao Qian, can you write your name? How about if I teach you? Lin Chen asked. Yes. Lin Xiaoqian's attention was quickly diverted.
Lin Chen got ready to teach with paper and pen.
5 minutes passed. Host, your calligraphy level is beginning to improve.
Practice for 10 hours to reach the level of master, and 20 hours to reach the level of grandmaster.
The system's voice sounded.
Lin Chen's face revealed a faint smile.
Sure enough, teaching Lin Xiaoxi to write would improve her calligraphy.
His original handwriting was very ordinary, and he couldn't write with a brush at all. His calligraphy would improve with both hard and soft brushes. He would be able to write various styles from different dynasties with ease.
Dad, my name is so hard to write. Can I be Lin Yi in the future?
Lin Xiaoxi said with a pout after half an hour had passed. Lin Chen kissed her little face. Xixi, that won't do.
How can we give up just because of a little difficulty? Our Xixi is the best. Don't worry, Dad will teach you. Lin Xiaoqian nodded.
Lin Chen continued to teach her for another half hour. Lin Xiaoqian was so young, and it was pretty good that she could last for an hour.
Xiaoqian, what do you want to do next?
Lin Xiaoqian said hopefully, Dad, I want to go to an amusement park.
My mom and I have been to an amusement park before, and it's really fun.
Lin Chen patted her little face and laughed. Then we'll go to the amusement park, but Xiaoqian, we agreed that we can't go there often, because you still need to study, right?
Lin Xiaoqian nodded obediently. An hour later, Lin Chen and his daughter arrived at the amusement park. Daddy, I want to play that.
Mommy has taken me on that before, hee.
Lin Xiaoqian pointed to the merry-go-round not far away. Chapter 8, finally starting to earn money.
Soon Lin Chen and Lin Xiaoqian got on the merry-go-round.
Xiaoqian, you have to hold on tight.
Lin Chen reminded Lin Xiaoqian. He sat next to Lin Xiaoqian, so even if Lin Xiaoqian didn't hold on tight, he could reach out and grab her. Dad, you have to be careful too. Lin Xiaoqian said sweetly. The music started to play and the merry-go-round started to spin.
System, can I consider this horseback riding? Lin Chen asked in his mind. System, even if it is considered riding a horse, it shouldn't take 5 minutes, host. Sure enough, it stopped after 3 minutes.
Dad, let's go play bumper cars. I've played with my mom before, Bumper cars are so much fun. Lin Xiaoqian said excitedly. Lin Chen's eyes lit up. Bumper cars are also cars. He has a driver's license, but he still took the test during his sophomore summer vacation, and he has never touched the steering wheel.
His license is about to rust. Boss, how many minutes is this time?
Lin Chen asked when they arrived at the bumper cars.
10 minutes. Hearing the boss's answer, Lin Chen paid the money happily. Let's go. 5 minutes passed.
The system's voice sounded as expected. Host, your driving skills are beginning to improve.
10 hours will improve you to master level, and 20 hours will improve you to grand master level.
That's comfortable. Lin Chen was secretly delighted.
Driving skills are still very practical.
In the future, he definitely needs to buy a car, so that it is more convenient to go out. Otherwise, if there is wind and rain, he is holding Lin Xiaoxi on the roadside waiting for the bus. Just thinking about it makes him sad, and it is even sadder to wait for the bus.
Time passes by second by second.
Lin Chen's driving skills are improving rapidly.
Xixi, do you still want to ride again?
After the first ride, Lin Chen asked Lin Xiaoxi with a smile.
Yes, I want to. Dad, I want to ride twice more. Lin Xiaoxi said happily.
Lin Chen took Lin Xiaoxi for 2 more rides, and after half an hour in total, Lin Chen's driving skills had improved a lot compared to a novice. If he took Lin Xiaoxi to the amusement park a few more times in the future, he would be an old car. It started to thunder and rain. Houses are too expensive to worry about for the time being.
I need to hurry and buy a car.
Lin Chen muttered to himself. If he wanted to buy a car, he would have to solve one problem: he needed money.
Lin Chen thought silently about which skill would be convenient for making money.
So far, he has acquired a lot of various skills: cooking, fairy tale creation, painting skills, football, calligraphy, driving, shooting, and English. If his painting skills and calligraphy reach the top level, he should be able to earn a lot of money, but his level is not high enough yet.
Cooking, he is not interested in cooking for other people.
If his ball skills and driving skills are strong, he can earn a lot of money by playing football and driving racing cars, but this is not a path he can choose. Lin Chen thought to himself. Fairy tales he could tell Lin Xiaoxi more of, and they would improve quickly.
He could submit them online and quickly receive royalties.
He had already reached the level of simultaneous interpretation in English, and he could take on some very difficult translations online. There are many English speakers in China, and there is a lot of competition in the translation industry, but very few people can reach his current level of English.
He definitely wouldn't have any problems making money.
Dad, I miss Mom so much.
If Mom were with us, that would be so nice.
Lin Xiaoqian snuggled into Lin Chen's arms and murmured. At the playground, she saw many children with their parents, and she was very envious. Lin Chen comforted her. Xiaoqian, when your mom comes back, why don't you and your mom discuss it and we'll go to the playground together?
Lin Xiaoqian nodded expectantly. Dad, let me tell you a story.
Lin Chen had many fairy tales in his head now, and even without a book, he could tell Lin Xiaoxi directly. Lin Xiaoxi fell asleep quickly after arriving home, having eaten and bathed.
Lin Chen looked it up online. I should be able to translate this in a few hours. The translation fee is 5,000 yuan, which is not bad, so let's try it.
Lin Chen muttered to himself.
He took on an online translation task. Very few people took on this kind of difficult translation task.
Although the reward is not low, 5,000 yuan, but the level is not good enough. Taking on this kind of work may take more than a month to translate properly.
If the translation is a mess, no one will pay. Crackling.
Lin Chen went to the study and started typing on the keyboard.
There was already a computer in the study of this house. My input speed is much faster than before.
Lin Chen muttered to himself.
He guessed it should be due to the improvement of his physique.
The translation took a little over 3 hours, which was less than the estimated 4 hours. Lin Chen checked the translation and found no problems.
He quickly sent the translated manuscript to the other party's email address.
He had checked the other party's reputation and found it to be quite good. Even if the other party tried to cheat him out of the translation fee, he had only spent a little over 3 hours on it, so he would just have to deal with the other party later.
Time passed quickly and the next day arrived. Huh, so soon?
The manager of a translation company was very puzzled.
His company would take on many translation tasks, but if they couldn't handle it all, they would post some of the tasks online. He remembered that this task was only accepted yesterday evening. It can't be a shoddy translation. The manager quickly opened the email to check it out.
This. Soon, shock appeared in his eyes. The other party's translation was very accurate, and he felt that the other party's level was much higher than his.
Ha!
Upon looking at the time, the supervisor discovered that the other party had spent a total of only 3 hours from receiving the order to completing it.
Holy shit! This is a godsend. The supervisor was overjoyed.
If they could form a relationship with such a godsend, they could take on more difficult orders and make more money in the process.
Big guy, you translated very well, we will transfer the money immediately. Big guy, can we cooperate in the long term? This is my phone number and WeChat ID. The supervisor quickly sent an email back to Lin Chen. Chapter 9, You did a paternity test? Ding! The sound of a text message on Lin Chen's phone. He took out his phone and looked at it. It was actually a text message from the bank, saying that the 5,000 yuan translation fee had been credited. It was quite prompt.
Lin Chen muttered to himself. If the other party said there was a problem with his translation, he would have to argue with them.
Xiaoqian, you play for a while. Daddy has something to do.
Lin Chen patted Lin Xiaoqian's head and smiled.
Okay, go ahead, Dad.
Lin Xiaoqian obediently said.
Lin Chen went to the study and turned on the computer.
Logging into his email account, Lin Chen opened the email the other party had sent him.
Long-term cooperation?
Lin Chen muttered. He wasn't particularly interested in long-term cooperation, as the money to be made was limited. Even if he made a few thousand yuan a day, it would only be 100,000 yuan a month. That might be a lot for ordinary people, but he had the system, so making 100,000 yuan a month would be ridiculous. He makes more than that just by using the system space for transportation. But it's okay to make some money in the short term. Su Mengyao's 60,000 yuan is not counted, and he only has 30,000 yuan of his own. After moving, he spent a few thousand yuan on shopping. If he is the only one spending the 30,000 yuan, it will last him a long time, but with Lin Xiaoxi, it will go quickly. Yesterday's trip to the amusement park cost quite a bit. He pays the rent monthly, which is 15,000 yuan a month.
Hello. Lin Chen quickly added the other person's WeChat. Hello, boss, you translate fast and well.
We often have urgent jobs here, and the prices will be higher than normal.
Are you interested in cooperating?
On the other end of the line, Yao Bin, the manager of the translation company, replied.
I just want to make some pocket money in the short term, so you can send me the tasks. If I think it's okay, I'll take it on.
Lin Chen replied.
Okay. Yao Bin felt a bit of regret.
But the boss has the boss's personality.
He can't be forced.
If the boss doesn't take the order here, he can take it from someone else.
Boss, I have 3 orders here. See if there's anything you're interested in.
Soon Yao Bin sent Lin Chen 3 difficult manuscripts. They were a bit inadequate to handle themselves, so they were posted online to find someone to do it. It was too difficult, the price was low, no one would take it, and there was no guarantee of quality. The price is slightly lower, and it will be increased by 10%.
If possible, I will take all 3 orders. Lin Chen replied after checking the reply. Yao Bin was stunned. Can you handle all 3? It's not a big problem.
Yao Bin quickly agreed to Lin Chen's price increase request. After a 10% price increase, the 3 orders combined were worth 21,000 yuan, and Lin Chen estimated that it would take a total of 10 hours. Lin Xiaoqian wanted to take a nap, so she had an hour or 2 in the afternoon and more than 3 hours in the evening, so she could finish it in 2 days. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. Lin Chen had only added 1 new skill in the past 2 days.
Singing. This came about when he was teaching Lin Xiaoxi to sing a children's song. Ding! A text message from the bank.
His translation was accepted and he earned 21,000 yuan. Together with the 5,000 yuan he earned earlier, he earned 26,000 yuan in just over 10 hours. Lin Chen felt that knowledge was power. He used to work hard for a few thousand yuan a month.
Xixi, you just read it wrong. Daddy will read it to you again. Lin Chen glanced at the text message and continued to teach Lin Xiaoxi English.
Soon the system's voice rang in Lin Chen's head. Host, your French has reached a proficient level. Lin Chen gave a faint smile. He had learned another foreign language.
It was easy. System, let's move on to German.
Lin Chen commanded in his head, as he could choose freely.
Yes, host. Continuing to teach Lin Xixi foreign languages will improve your German.
The system responded.
Knock, knock.
Xinqiang arrived outside the house where Lin Chen had lived. She knocked for a long time, but no one answered.
Are you looking for Lin Chen, young lady?
A woman asked, coming down the stairs.
Xinqiang hurriedly said, Yes, I'm here to see Lin Chen. The woman sized up Xinqiang. You must be Lin Xiaoqian's mother, right? Xiaoqian is very cute, and you parents are responsible for her. Xinqiang. You've got it wrong, sister. Xiaoqian is my best friend's daughter. The woman said awkwardly, I see. Lin Chen doesn't live here anymore. I don't know where he moved to. Thank you, sister. Xinqiang hurried downstairs and left. Didi. Xinqiang dialed Su Mengyao's phone number.
Su Mengyao often traveled abroad, so Xinqiang had long ago enabled international calling.
Xinqiang, how is it? Su Mengyao asked nervously.
She knew that Xinqiang would go to Lin Chen's place to check up on him today. She was worried that Lin Xiaoqian was not doing well. Mengyao, Lin Chen moved.
Didn't he tell you? Xinqiang asked. Su Mengyao, no. I asked him not to call me unless it was important, and he hasn't called.
I'll call him and ask, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
After hanging up, Su Mengyao called Lin Chen's phone.
Hello. Lin Chen answered.
He already knew that the number belonged to Su Mengyao.
Su Mengyao, Lin Chen, where did you move to?
A friend of mine went to see Xixi and found that you had moved.
Lin Chen said, Ziyuan Community, Building 5, Apartment 2001.
Don't worry, Xixi is my daughter, I won't mistreat her.
You did a paternity test? Su Mengyao asked.
No, Xixi and I look very similar, and I believe you wouldn't lie about something like that.
With your qualifications, you can find a lot of people to take over in no time.
Lin Chen said, You talked to Xiaoqian. He switched on the speakerphone and handed the phone to Lin Xiaoqian.
He then got up and went to the bathroom.
Xiaoqian, you've been with Dad for a few days now.
How do you feel? Do you want to continue living with Dad? Su Mengyao asked. Lin Xiaoqian said happily, Of course I do.
Mom, let me tell you, Dad is amazing, he's a superhero.
Oh? What's so amazing about Dad? Lin Xiaoqian said, holding the phone, Dad is awesome.
He taught me to sing, draw, write, and tell me
Auntie Qingqing is here.
Lin Chen smiled and said. Xinqiang surveyed Lin Chen. Lin Chen gave her a good first impression. She was dressed in ordinary clothes but was clean and tidy.
Auntie Qingqing. Lin Xiaoxi came running over.
Xixi, Auntie Qingqing missed you so much. Xinqiang crouched down, picked Lin Xiaoxi up and smiled.
Lin Chen, this is my first time here. I bought some fruit, including some blueberries that Xixi likes. Help yourself. Xinqiang said. Okay, thanks.
Xinqiang carried Lin Xiaoxi into the house. She scanned the room with her eyes. The house was very spacious, not comparable to the villa where Xin Mengyao lived, but it was pretty good. It was more than enough for Lin Chen and Lin Xiaoxi to live in. The decoration of the house also gave a very comfortable feeling. Auntie Qingqing, some kids said that Xixi doesn't have a dad, but I do, and my dad is the best. Lin Xiaoqian said with a little smugness. Xinqiang kissed Lin Xiaoqian. Xixi, don't listen to what those kids are saying, of course you do have a dad. Lin Xiaoqian said that Lin Chen was the best, which she had overlooked. The Su family had conducted a survey before, and Lin Chen was very ordinary. He was almost invisible in high school and college.
Lin Chen's family background was also very ordinary. His parents were just ordinary farmers. Although Lin Chen's family was not considered poor, they were definitely not rich. Compared to the Su family, they were definitely worlds apart. Lin Chen, can I take a look and take some pictures? Meng Yao wanted to take a look. Xinqiang asked. Lin Chen nodded, yes, you can take whatever pictures you like. The house is 160 square meters, and there are only 3 rooms, a master bedroom, a secondary bedroom, and a study. Xinqiang entered each room and took a few pictures carefully. Lin Chen, the rent for this house is not cheap, is it? Xinqiang asked. Lin Chen nodded, 15,000 yuan per month. By the way, you can help me pay back Su Mengyao when the time comes. Xiaoqian is my daughter, and I don't need her to pay for taking care of her. Lin Chen opened the suitcase and took out the bag containing the money.
Shen Chang was a little surprised.
You don't want it? This is the living expenses that Meng Yao gave you in Xixi.
Lin Chen said, I can earn my own living. In the first 2 years when she took care of her, I didn't give her any living expenses, and now that I'm taking care of Xixi, she doesn't need to give us any living expenses either.
I won't mistreat Xixi.
Xinxing shook her head and said, you can give it to her yourself when the time comes.
She will definitely come visit Xixi in the future.
Lin Chen, it's almost noon, let me treat you and Xixi to a meal. Lin Chen had not yet spoken when Lin Xiaoxi said, Auntie Qingqing, I don't want to eat out.
The food outside isn't as good as Dad's. I like the food Dad makes. Lin Chen smiled and said, if you don't mind, Xinxing, let's eat at home.
You can play with Xiaoxi for a while I cook.
It'll only take 40 or 50 minutes. Thank you. Xinxing nodded. Xiaoxi, shall Auntie Qingqing tell you a story?
Xinxing took Lin Xiaoxi to the balcony, where there was a small low table with a number of storybooks on it.
Lin Chen went to the kitchen and quickly got to work.
Lin Xiaoxi had been following him for 5 days, doing the dishes every day, and he spent more than 2 hours in the kitchen every day, gaining a year of experience every hour, so that he had more than 10 years of chef experience. These 10 years of chef experience were not the 10 years of an ordinary person, nor the 10 years of an ordinary restaurant chef. His experience was the result of being taught by top chefs for more than 10 years. Lin Chen's culinary skills today, without exaggeration, have surpassed most chefs at 5-star hotels.
20 minutes passed.
Xinxing sniffed, and the smell coming from the kitchen was so fragrant. 40 minutes passed, and Lin Chen carried the dishes out of the kitchen, and the fragrance Xinxing smelled suddenly became even stronger.
Xinxing, Lin Xiaoxian, dinner is ready. Lin Chen called out.
Auntie Qingqing, let's go wash our hands, and we can't eat until we've washed our hands.
Lin Xiaoxian said in a baby voice.
Soon the two of them washed their hands and went to the dining room.
Xinxing looked at the 5 dishes Lin Chen had prepared on the table in amazement.
It didn't take long, but Lin Chen had managed to make 5 dishes, and each dish looked very appetizing.
Auntie Qingqing, the food Daddy made is delicious. Daddy, I want to eat that meat.
Lin Xiaoxian pointed her little finger at one of the dishes.
Okay, Daddy will give you some.
Lin Chen petted Lin Xiaoxian's little head and said in a loving tone.
Lin Chen, your cooking looks really good.
Xinxing praised.
Lin Chen laughed and said, it's okay.
If you think it's delicious, you and Su Mengyao should come over more often to eat. Xinxing giggled and said, Mengyao is my best friend, and if you want me to sell her, the food has to be really, really delicious. After she finished speaking, she picked up her chopsticks and started eating. When the food reached her mouth, Xinxing was stunned. Lin Chen's cooking skills were actually not inferior to those of a 5-star chef.
This dish is not bad. I'll try this fish.
Xinxing tried the second dish, and the fish was incredibly fresh. After trying all 5 dishes, Xinxing was amazed. Lin Chen's cooking skills were leagues ahead of Su Mengyao's. It was very likely that he had reached the standard of a 5-star hotel chef. You have to understand that there are many chefs in 5-star hotels, and it is simply impossible for ordinary people to enjoy the chef's cooking when they go out to eat.
Auntie Qingqing, Dad's cooking is delicious, isn't it? Xixi really likes it.
Lin Xiaoxi said sweetly.
Xinxing muttered to herself, Lin Chen's cooking is so good, how can it not be delicious? Lin Xiaoxi's picky eater has become less picky.
The nanny hired by Su Mengyao also makes passable food, but it's no match for this, and Su Mengyao's own cooking is even more difficult to describe in words.
Xixi, your dad's cooking is really delicious.
Xinxing praised.
After finishing the meal, Xinxing was full.
She usually doesn't eat much to maintain her figure, but Lin Chen's cooking was really delicious, and she couldn't resist.
Xiaoqian, go over there and play by yourself for a while. Xinxing, for the sake of this meal, can I ask you a question?
Lin Chen said with a smile.
Xinxing nodded, go ahead. Lin Chen said, has Su Mengyao had anyone else in the past 3 years? Xinxing's eyebrows shot up. If she has had someone else, even if she doesn't have a boyfriend now, you won't consider it?
Lin Chen smiled faintly. 3 years is a long time, it's normal for her to have had someone else, but in that case, I won't bother her.
He is a systematic man and has requirements.
Xinxing said, for the sake of this meal, I can tell you.
She hasn't had anyone else.
After that incident back then, she had a psychological shadow and was very resistant to men.
She can't even accept a handshake.
Even if you are Xiao Qian's father, it is probably difficult to woo her. Lin Chen smiled and said, "Thank you for the information.
Today's performance was average due to time constraints.
In the future, you should bring Su Mengyao here more often.
I guarantee that you will be able to taste even more delicious dishes."
His cooking skills are still rapidly improving. By the time Xixi comes again, his cooking skills will be at a different level.
Lin Chen, this is only average?
This is a bit like Versailles.
Xixi laughed and said, "With cooking skills like these, why don't you become a chef?
Being a chef is definitely better than working for someone else."
Lin Chen smiled and didn't say anything.
He himself had been disgusted with his previous cooking skills.
Chapter 11, So the fairy tale just exploded?
At noon, Lin Xiaoqian wanted to take a nap, and Xixi left.
Drip.
Walking out of the community, Xixi dialed Su Mengyao phone.
Su Mengyao was abroad, and it was very late there, but Xixi knew that Su Mengyao must not be asleep now. Sure enough, the phone was connected in an instant. "Xixi, what's going on?" Su Mengyao asked anxiously.
Xixi laughed and said, "Mengyao, we were worrying for nothing.
Xixi is probably having an even better time at Lin Chen's than before.
The neighborhood where Lin Chen rents is a high-end one, and the house he rents is not small in size and is nicely decorated.
Not to mention the two of them, you could live there too."
Su Mengyao said impatiently, "Don't talk nonsense."
Xixi said, "Anyway, Xixi is living very well. In terms of food, Xixi is definitely eating better than we are now."
"That's impossible,"
Su Mengyao said doubtfully. "They have money, and they don't eat badly." "Mengyao, didn't you say that your father investigated before? Didn't he find out that Lin Chen is a very skilled cook?"
"His cooking skills are on par with those of a chef at a 5-star hotel."
Su Mengyao said incredulously, "You're just making this up, aren't you? If he has such cooking skills, why didn't he become a chef? The pay of a chef at a 5-star hotel is not bad." "I don't know.
Anyway, the lunch I had at his place today, all 5 dishes were delicious, and I'm full now."
Xixi rubbed her stomach and said. Su Mengyao still didn't quite believe it. How could he have such strong cooking skills without any special training? It might be talent.
"Xixi said that her father's cooking was the best, and I thought Xixi was just making it up, but I didn't expect it to be true,"
Xixi said with emotion.
Xixi paused for a moment and said, "Mengyao, the 60,000 yuan that Lin Chen gave you is still in Xixi's suitcase."
"Lin Chen asked me to give it to you, but I didn't. You will definitely go visit Xixi in the future, so you can take it yourself." Su Menyao's brows furrowed slightly. Why didn't he take it? The rent for the house he rented was probably not cheap. The rent was 15,000 yuan a month.
Lin Chen said that it was only right for him to take care of Xixi as her father, and that you didn't need to pay.
"Mengyao, maybe Lin Chen is not as ordinary as you think," Xixi said.
Lin Chen gave her the impression of being full of confidence.
Su Mengyao said impatiently, "You are a typical example of being soft-spoken. You ate a meal and then you speak for him. Didn't I ask you to take pictures? You took pictures, didn't you?" Xixi, "Yes, I will send you the pictures later."
Soon Su Mengyao received the pictures that Xixi sent her.
The living reached the proficient level in German.
Now he can speak 3 foreign languages, English, French, and German, and he can interpret all 3 languages simultaneously.
"Dad, the stories you tell are so good,"
Lin Xiaoxi whispered as she lay next to Lin Chen.
"Dad, can you tell me another story?"
"Sure."
Lin Chen smiled. He started a new story, but before he could finish, Lin Xiaoxi couldn't hold back any longer and fell asleep sweetly. Leaning over, he kissed Lin Xiaoxi and went to his study.
"Fairy tales are at the grandmaster level, it's time to make money from them,"
Lin Chen muttered to himself. Translating a single order can earn thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, but that's still too little to buy this house. The children's market is huge, and there is a huge demand for good fairy tales. If you make a name for yourself and publish a book, you can earn much more than translating. And if this catches on, you can make a steady stream of money. Lin Yu.
Lin Chen first registered a pen name for himself.
Pai. He quickly finished writing a 1,000-character fairy tale, which he uploaded to the newly registered fairy tale platform tongxian.com. Tongxinwang is the largest fairy tale platform in China, providing online reading. If it becomes popular, the editor will contact the author about publishing. After posting one story, Lin Chen continued writing.
He didn't want to sell just 1 or 2 stories to others, he wanted to write more and become famous so that he could publish directly.
Su Xiao is an editor at Tongxinwang.
Tongxinwang is the largest fairy tale platform in China, but it is a lucrative business and Tongxinwang is now facing considerable pressure.
The editors need to find good stories and recommend them. This is the only way to attract more users.
More users naturally means they can retain more good writers.
What is all this nonsense? Su Xiao frowned, she hadn't come across any good ones all day. Nowadays the industry is full of mixed quality, there is just too much rubbish. Lin Yu, a new author. Su Xiao read this one written by Lin Chen. Ha!
After reading it once she read it again carefully, excitement shone in her eyes. As a professional editor she could tell that this was definitely top-notch work.
Editor-in-chief, I've found a gem. Su Xiao quickly called the editor-in-chief.
She had the authority to give recommendations, but she only had general authority, so the recommendation she gave was naturally not as good as the recommendation the editor-in-chief could give.
Really? Editor-in-chief Chen Wenhan said with delight.
Editor-in-chief, maybe it's more than that. I feel that this fairy tale can be passed down for 100 years.
Su Xiao said.
Chen Wenhan was at home at the moment, and he quickly turned on the computer. After reading it, his feeling was the same as Su Xiao's. This fairy tale is likely to be passed down for centuries.
Hey! Chen Wenhan noticed that Lin Yu had updated it again. Great, excellent. Chen Wenhan was overjoyed after reading the second article.
He felt that this story was even better than the first one.
Editor-in-chief, have you read the second one?
Lin Yu is definitely a great talent.
Don't you want to recommend him? Don't let him go. Su Xiao called Chen Wenhan again. Right away. Chen Wenhan hurriedly arranged for the best recommendation. More than 10 people read it, which is too few.
But the ratings are all 10, so the ratings are not bad. Lin Chen muttered. After passing on the second article, he looked at the results of the first article.
A mere dozen clicks is dismal. Keep going. Lin Chen continued to type.
He had a lot of stories in his head, with 1,000 words in each story, and he had no problem writing 3 an hour. Tonight, he would get 10 together. Once I have 20 or 30, I can publish a children's book.
Above the fairy tale level? Really?
The editor-in-chief gave such a comment.
Look at it.
It's good enough to reach the fairy tale level. Chen Wenhan arranged for the recommendation, and soon many people clicked in.
Every night, there are many people looking for stories on Tongxin. This is the peak time for website traffic.
It is indeed above the fairy tale level, and Lin Yu is amazing.
Full marks and no explanation.
I'll read these 2 stories to my child tomorrow night. The comments section soon filled with more messages.
3 hours passed. Phew.
Lin Chen finished writing the other 8 stories in one go, and he planned to upload them all together.
What's going on?
Lin Chen was stunned when he opened the website. Both fairy tales had more than 50,000 clicks and thousands of comments.
This is a direct explosion. Chapter 12, Signing a Contract with Tongxin.com.
It turned out that he had been recommended on the homepage. The rewards for the 2 short stories had added up to 1,000 yuan, which was not bad.
Lin Chen's face showed a smile.
He took the opportunity to upload the other 8 stories he had written. These fairy tales should all become popular, and by then, the rewards for his fairy tales would bring him a lot of money every day.
That's really amazing. Chen Wenhan was full of emotion. After giving the recommendation, he kept an eye on the data.
In the same 3 hours, the click rates of the 2 short stories of Lin Yu were much higher.
His comment had a certain effect.
In addition, he guessed that some readers attracted many people by recommending others. Usually, for the same recommendation position, if you recommend another story, in 3 hours, the number of people who click in will be only 10,000 to 20,000.
30,000 is already very good data.
The clicks on these 2 stories of Lin Yu have even exceeded 50,000.
Ding! Chen Wenhan's phone rang again. Editor-in-chief, you're still awake, aren't you? I just went to bed and was about to fall asleep. Is everything okay? Chen Wenhan was a little nervous. Could it be that another website had poached Lin Yu and Lin Yu had posted an announcement and gone directly to another website? Su Xiao on the other end of the line excitedly said, Editor-in-chief, I think it's because we recommended Lin Yu in time that he felt our sincerity and he posted 8 more fairy tales. Chen Wenhan immediately sat up. He hurried to the study and restarted the computer. Sure enough, Lin Yu had updated 8 more. Awesome, just awesome. Lin Yu's level is definitely top-notch. Chen Wenhan read 2 of them as quickly as he could, and the level of these 2 was the same as the first 2. Drip. Chen Wenhan's phone rang. It was a publisher calling. 3,000 for one article? Mr. Lee, if you have fairy tales of this caliber, 5,000 for one article, I'll buy as many as you have. Chen Wenhan hung up the phone. 3,000 for one article to buy a fairy tale of this caliber? That's a lot of money. 3,000 for a newbie might be a good price, but Lin Yu's level is so high, Chen Wenhan feels that Lin Yu is definitely not a newbie, but a top-notch master. He dares to contact Lin Yu and offer this price. Lin Yu might run away overnight. Ding. Less than 2 minutes later, Chen Wenhan's phone rang again. Someone else was asking for his contact information to make a purchase. Old Zhang, you're okay buying a fairy tale at 10,000 yuan per article, but these are masterpieces that are above fairy tales. 100 years from now, if we don't have these fairy tales, we'll still be around. Do you think Lin Yu is a newbie at this level? 30,000 yuan per article? I can ask Lin Yu for you, but at this price, I don't think it's possible to buy it. After chatting with the other person for a while, Chen Wenhan hung up the phone. 30,000 for an article is not a low price, but he knew that it would still be difficult to buy a fairy tale of this level at such a price. Drip. It wasn't long before a third call came in. The night passed. Lin Chen slept quite well, but Chen Wenhan didn't fall asleep until 3 a.m., and he was woken up by the phone at a little after 6 a.m. Lin Xiaoqian was still asleep, so Lin Chen got up and went to the study. Ha! Opening the author's background, Lin Chen was surprised. The clicks on the first 2 articles were close to 100,000. The other 8 articles also reached 40,000 to 50,000 clicks. The total reward for the 10 articles had already exceeded 10,000. Of course, not all the reward money was his. The website got 30%. Editor-in-Chief Chen Wenhan? Lin Chen found an internal message in the background. The editor-in-chief of tongxian.com wanted to add him as a WeChat friend. Let's not add him for now. Lin Chen didn't rush to add the other person. Hurry and add the other person and it would look like a newbie. In the blink of an eye, it was noon. Lin Xiaoqian fell asleep after eating lunch and playing for a while. Lin Chen then added Chen Wenhan. Chen Wenhan had no interest in working all morning. Lin Chen was too powerful. If he didn't give him the best recommendation, Lin Chen might take the money and run, and if he gave him the best recommendation, Lin Chen might take the users and run as well. Now that he had given the best recommendation, if Lin Chen took the users and ran, he might have to resign as well. Ding! The phone rang. Chen Wenhan quickly picked up the phone. He's added me, he's finally added me. Chen Wenhan was overjoyed. Lin Chen hadn't added him for half a day, which had made him feel restless. Big shot, this is Chen Wenhan, editor-in-chief of Tongxin. I'm contacting you because many publishers want to buy the fairy tales you've written. Chen Wenhan quickly sent a message to Lin Chen. What's the price? Lin Chen asked curiously. Chen Wenhan quickly replied, the quality of the 10 fairy tales is very high, and the highest bidder has offered 680,000. Lin Chen's heartbeat quickened slightly. He had written those 10 fairy tales in 3 or 4 hours. However, they were not his original work, but had been given to him by the system. Although his level was high, it would be quite good if he could create a fairy tale of this level every 3 days. Editor-in-Chief Chen, I don't want to sell for the time being. I still have other fairy tales to publish at that time. I wonder what kind of conditions tongxian.com can offer me next. Lin Chen replied. Chen Wenhan let out a sigh of relief. As long as Lin Chen doesn't run away, everything else is negotiable. Big brother, I also suggest that you don't sell now. Your works will definitely be able to sell for a higher price in the future. Can we meet? We will give you the best conditions. Lin Chen pondered, and if he didn't sign a contract with tongxian.com, he would definitely worry that someone like him who hadn't signed a contract could run away at any time. There would be no need to meet. You can discuss what kind of conditions you can offer. If you can offer good conditions, you can just sign the contract online. Lin Chen considered for a moment and replied. He wanted to bring Lin Xiaoqian with him, so he didn't have time to meet the other party offline. Moreover, he didn't want to go public and have his identity revealed, as it might affect his career of being a father.
Writing fairy tales was just about making some money, and the most important thing was to take good care of Lin Xiaoxian.
Okay, big guy. Chen Wenhan quickly reported back to his boss. Even though he was the editor-in-chief, he couldn't make the final decision on this matter. An hour later, Chen Wenhan sent over a document. Lin Chen clicked to take a look. The terms offered by tongxian.com were not bad.
The various recommendations were full, and in addition, tongxian.com would also provide promotional resources outside the site.
In addition, 90% of his rewards would be split, 90% for him. tongxian.com would only get 10%, which might not even be enough to pay taxes. Editor-in-Chief Chen, the terms are not bad. I can sign a contract with the website. Lin Chen replied after taking a closer look.
He only publishes on tongxian.com, and the copyright belongs to him. If he wants to publish the website, he still has to cooperate with him in publicity.
Big brother, we'll prepare the contract right away.
The boss said that as a sign of good faith, we'll pay an additional signing bonus of 300,000.
Chen Wenhan replied happily.
For top writers, 300,000 yuan in signing bonuses is not much, but the fact that the terms were negotiated and an additional 300,000 yuan in signing bonuses was added was very heartwarming.
Lin Chen smiled.
It was estimated that they had already negotiated and agreed on the signing bonus, but in the end, he didn't haggle over it, and the website didn't save any money either.
Thank you. Soon after, Chen Wenhan sent the electronic contract. Lin Chen signed the electronic contract. Boss, happy cooperation. If you have any questions, just call me. Chen Wenhan's face broke into a smile.
With a super god sitting on the website, it can develop rapidly.
His bonus this year will definitely not be small.
Chapter 13, Taking Lin Xiaoxian to buy a car.
Ding.
The sound of a text message reminder from the bank card sounded. The 300,000 signing bonus from tongxian.com was quickly transferred to Lin Chen's card. This money is subject to tax, but there is no need to pay it now, just pay the tax on the tax app during the annual tax return.
It's pretty fast. Lin Chen's face showed a faint smile.
With the tens of thousands of dollars earned from translation and the 300,000 signing bonus, there is no problem buying a car for 300,000 yuan. After a while, he will have even more money and can buy a better car, but a car in the 300,000 range already meets his needs. Cars in the 300,000 range have pretty good safety and equipment, and moving up from there is mainly about improving the perceived quality.
What car should I buy?
Lin Chen muttered to himself. If it were just him, his first choice would be an electric car, which accelerates quickly and is fun to drive, but there is also Lin Xiaoxi, and the safety of an electric car still needs to be tested over a period of time.
Let's go with Volvo. After a little online research, Lin Chen decided to buy the Volvo XC60. The price was right, and Volvo's safety record was good. He didn't really care about the brand. Besides, at 300,000 yuan, it was just a car for grocery shopping. No one would look at him any differently if he bought a BMW. He didn't need a car to impress people. He had the daddy system, and with Lin Xiaoxi in tow, he would be invincible. Woo woo. Lin Xiaoxi's crying could be heard from the master bedroom. Lin Chen hurriedly went into the master bedroom. Lin Xiaoxian, Daddy is here, why are you crying? Lin Chen asked Lin Xiaoxian as he hugged her. He reached out his hand and it was wet. Lin Xiaoxian tearfully said, Daddy, I peed my pants, I'm not a good baby anymore, oh. Lin Chen hurriedly coaxed, Xiaoxian, who said that? It's normal for a child like you to occasionally pee your pants, some children still pee their pants at the age of 5 or 6. Daddy will change you. Lin Xiaoxian said pitifully, Daddy, is that true? The nanny said that children who wet their pants are not good children. Lin Chen frowned inwardly. Lin Xiaoxian's nanny definitely didn't want to be bothered, but Lin Xiaoxian was still a young child and would definitely still wet the bed. Xiaoxian, of course what Daddy says is true. Your nanny may have taken care of older children before, so she doesn't understand. Xiaoxian is only a little over 2 years old now. Lin Chen kissed Lin Xiaoxian and said. Soon Lin Chen cleaned Lin Xiaoxian up and changed her clothes. The bed sheets naturally had to be washed as well. But this was not too much trouble, the washing machine was a washer-dryer, and the bed sheets would be clean in no time. You've worked hard, Dad. Here's a kiss for you. Lin Xiaoxian kissed Lin Chen on both cheeks. Xiaoxian, this afternoon we'll go buy a car. Lin Chen said with a smile.
Lin Xiaoqian shook her head. Daddy, I don't like cars, I like dolls.
Daddy, can we buy dolls instead?
Lin Chen scratched Lin Xiaoqian's little nose.
Daddy didn't say a small car, he said a big car.
We need to take taxis to go to places like the amusement park, which is a bit inconvenient. There are no car seats in taxis either.
Daddy, Mommy has 3 big cars, we can drive Mommy's big car, Mommy said to share.
Lin Xiaoxi said with some confusion. Her little brain couldn't figure out why her mother had a car and 3 cars, and why her father still had to buy one.
Mom has 3 cars?
Lin Xiaoxi nodded. One car is very short, one is very long, and the other is very tall.
I often ride in the tall car, and I've ridden in the long car before, but not the short one.
Lin Chen guessed that the short car Lin Xiaoxi was talking about was a sports car.
A sports car simply couldn't carry Lin Xiaoxi. Xixi, Mommy likes a different kind of car from Daddy's. Hurry up and put on your little shoes, let's go.
Lin Chen said with a smile.
Half an hour later, Lin Chen arrived at the 4S store.
After seeing the actual car, Lin Xiaoxi also liked it, so Lin Chen bought it directly. The car was available, and you could drive it away after printing a temporary license plate.
Xixi, Daddy has to drive in the front, so you sit obediently in the safety seat, otherwise it will be dangerous.
Lin Chen carried Lin Xiaoqian to the safety seat. The car market is not doing well these days, so the price is cheap, and this safety seat, which is of good quality, was also given away by the store.
Daddy, Xiaoqian is the best.
Lin Xiaoqian said in a baby voice.
Mr. Lin, your daughter is so cute. If only I had a daughter.
My wife gave birth to twin sons for me. The sales associate said with a face full of envy.
Lin Chen smiled and said, if you try again, maybe the 3rd child will be a daughter. The sales associate shook his head helplessly. 2 sons are already killing me, what if I have another son? Mr. Lin, if you have any problems, you can contact me at any time.
Lin Chen nodded, got into the car, and drove off steadily.
System, can I improve my driving skills by driving like this? Lin Chen asked in his mind.
The system said, of course you can, host. Accumulate 10 hours to reach master level, 20 hours to reach grandmaster level, 40 hours to reach legendary level, and 80 hours to reach mythical level.
Lin Chen asked, what happens after reaching mythical level?
Driving is often necessary when going out, so accumulating 80 hours is not difficult. The system said, host, the limits for different skills are different. The limit for improving driving skills is 100 hours.
After 100 hours, your driving skills will no longer improve.
Lin Chen was quite satisfied. After 20 hours, he will reach the level of a grandmaster, and the most skilled driver on the planet will also be at the grandmaster level. He will need 100 hours to improve his driving skills. When he is done, all the other drivers will be nothing in front of him.
Dad, where are we going?
Lin Xiaoxi, who was sitting quietly in the back seat, asked.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Xiaoxi, we are going to the supermarket. Now that we have a car, we can buy things that we couldn't buy before. Think about what you want to buy.
Lin Xiaoxi obediently said. Once they entered the supermarket, Lin Xiaoqian sat in the shopping cart while Lin Chen pushed her along as she looked here and there. Before long, Lin Chen had filled half the shopping cart.
Drip! Lin Chen's phone rang.
He took out his phone and saw that it was his mother, Chen Mei, calling.
It's time to tell the family.
Lin Chen muttered to himself. Although the house was still rented, they had moved to a new place, so even if his parents came to Shanghai, they would have a place to stay. He had also replaced his car, and when his parents came over, he could take them and Lin Xiaoxi out for a spin together.
Lin Chen quickly answered the phone. Chen Mei on the other end of the line asked, Son, you don't have a job right now, do you? Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. Mom, did Zhou Wei tell your family?
Zhou Wei was from the same village as him, and they worked in different departments of the same company. He had been laid off, but Zhou Wei hadn't.
Well. He called home and said you were laid off.
Relatives.
Dad, Mom. Why did you transfer money to me? I have money. Lin Chen said. Chen Mei said, Son, have you found a girlfriend?
You will spend more money if you have a girlfriend, so your father and I will sponsor you a bit. Lin Chen smiled and said, Dad and Mom, I have a surprise for you.
He then waved at Lin Xiaoxi. Lin Xiaoxi went over to Lin Chen. Grandpa, Grandma. Lin Xiaoxi called out to the camera in a baby voice. Lin Chen's parents. They were stunned. What's going on? Isn't she your girlfriend? Why is she a little cutie?
And this little cutie is calling them grandpa and grandma.
Dad, grandpa, and grandma won't agree. Do they not like Xixi?
Lin Xiao Xixi looked at Lin Chen and said nervously.
Be a good girl, we like you. Son, what's going on? Lin Hai asked hurriedly.
Lin Chen coughed lightly and said, her name is Lin Xiao Xixi. 3 years ago, in an accident, Xixi's mother became pregnant with her, and a week ago, Xixi's mother brought her to me.
She is your grandchild.
Lin Hai and Chen Mei were overjoyed.
They suddenly had such a cute granddaughter. Xixi, just now grandma was being bad, she didn't answer in time, wait until grandma comes over to buy you something delicious. Chen Mei coaxed.
Lin Hai also hurriedly said, grandpa will buy it for you too. Lin Xiaoxi sweetly said, grandpa and grandma, thank you.
Grandpa and grandma, are you going to come and see Xixi? Aha, we'll come tomorrow. Chen Mei said, they can't wait to leave now.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Xixi, go draw a picture.
Daddy will talk to grandma and grandpa, and come back to keep you company later. Bye, grandma and grandpa. Lin Xiaoxi skipped to the balcony to draw a picture. Lin Hai said, son, have you and Xixi's mom gotten married yet?
Lin Chen shook his head, Xixi's mom is called Su Mengyao.
Our situation is a bit special.
At the beginning, we just knew each other, not well.
Under special circumstances, we had sex. Then she went abroad.
I didn't even know she had given birth to a child. Chen Mei said, Mengyao, if there's no one else, then you should hurry up and get married.
We'll pay as much as we can as a bride price.
It's not easy for her to raise a child alone. Lin Chen said, Mom, it's not that simple. There's no one else for Su Mengyao, but I've looked her up online, and her family's assets are conservatively estimated to be over 10 billion yuan. Lin Hai and Chen Mei were dumbfounded.
10 billion yuan? That's a lot of money for them.
Xiao Qian is starting to understand things. She wants her father, but Su Mengyao has been busy lately, so she sent Xiao Qian over.
But now I'm me and she's her.
Lin Chen Dao said. Lin Hai and Chen Mei nodded, they understood the situation. Chen Mei said, it's normal for someone to have assets worth tens of billions of dollars.
Your father and I still know what you're worth. We'll come over tomorrow.
Lin Chen Dao said, Mom, send me your ID numbers, I'll buy your plane tickets.
When you get to the airport, just ask the airport staff if you don't understand anything. Don't worry.
Soon after, Chen Mei sent her ID numbers.
Lin Chen Dao bought their plane tickets. Husband, what will you do about your son's situation in the future? He and Mengyao are unlikely to get married, so will he ever get married? Chen Mei asked.
Lin Hai frowned slightly.
This was a problem.
The Su family has assets worth tens of billions of yuan, and the probability of their son marrying Su Mengyao is low. If they can't find someone else, Lin Chen will have another daughter.
We'll talk about it later.
Lin Hai sighed lightly. Early the next morning, Lin Hai and the others got into a black car and headed for the provincial capital. 2 or 3 hours later, they arrived at the airport. There were still 2 hours before the flight was due to take off.
After lunch.
Xiao Qian, let's go pick up Grandpa and Grandma. Lin Chen hugged Lin Xiao Qian as they left the house.
Lin Xiao Qian had to take a nap at noon, so she took a nap in the car. Grandpa, Grandma.
At a little after 2 in the afternoon, Lin Chen and Lin Xiao Qian received their people.
Xixi, Grandma will hug you.
Chen Mei carefully hugged Lin Xiao Qian.
Grandma, kiss. Lin Xiao Qian kissed Chen Mei on the cheek.
Chen Mei couldn't stop smiling, and Lin Hai was beside her, full of envy. Dad and Mom, I was a bit shocked when Xian suddenly appeared, so I didn't tell you right away.
Lin Chen said. Lin Hai nodded, it's okay, we know. Hurrying over like that might have scared Xian. Now that Xian is familiar with you, it'll be better if we come back later. Okay.
Lin Chen took Lin Hai and the others to the parking lot. Seeing Lin Chen driving, Lin Hai and the others were not too surprised. This car should belong to Su Mengyao in their opinion.
Son, are you a good driver?
It's fine if you knock us around, but Xixi can't have an accident.
Chen Mei asked.
In a short time, Lin Xiaoxi completely conquered Chen Mei and the others. Mom, don't worry, I'm known as the Autumn Roar Mountain Car God.
Lin Shen said with a smile. Chapter 15 Dad, I'm making a little money.
After driving for a few kilometers, Lin Hai and the others finally felt relieved. Lin Chen's driving skills were really quite good. Even though the car was not going slowly, Lin Chen was still driving very steadily.
Dad and Mom, was the trip okay? Lin Chen asked. Lin Hai nodded, it was very smooth.
It's just that your mom is impatient and left quite early, so she had to wait at the airport for almost 2 hours.
Chen Mei said, it's better to arrive early than late. If something happens and causes a delay, you'll be even more anxious than I am.
The plane won't wait for you. Lin Xiaoqian said in a baby voice, grandparents, if mom went abroad, she could pick you up at the airport, so the plane won't fly away. Lin Chen was stunned for a moment.
The Su family has a private jet?
Then the Su family's assets must be more than 10 billion. A private jet is estimated to cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and with other expenses, it is a bit of a strain to support assets of tens of billions of dollars. Lin Hai turned his head and glanced at Chen Mei, who was sitting in the back row. The richer the Su family is, the lower the chance that Lin Chen and Su Mengyao will get together. It is estimated that it will be a bit difficult for my son to get married in the future.
Xixi, have you ever flown on Mommy's plane? Chen Mei asked. Lin Xiaoxi nodded, Grandma, I have.
I've been on it many times, but I can't count how many.
Xixi is still young, so it's normal that she can't count.
Chen Mei said with a smile.
An hour or so later, Lin Chen drove back to the residential area. Lin Hai said, Son, you didn't used to live here, did you?
Yes.
Lin Chen nodded. Lin Xiaoxi giggled, Grandpa, Dad and I chose the house together.
Oh, both Dad and I like it here.
Well, as long as Xixi likes it.
Lin Hai frowned inwardly. Lin Chen living on this side should spend Su Mengyao money, so the chances of Lin Chen and Su Mengyao getting together will be even lower.
The four of them took the elevator upstairs and entered the house.
Lin Xiaoxi bounced around and showed Lin Hai and the others around.
Son, come here for a second.
While Lin Xiaoxi was playing with Chen Mei, Lin Hai called Lin Chen aside. Housing prices in the Magic City are expensive, so the rent for this house is not cheap, right?
Did Xixai's mother spend the money?
Lin Chen shook his head, I rented it myself.
Lin Hai nodded, that's okay.
Son, your mother and I don't want to get close to the Su family, but since you and Su Mengyao have a child together, it's best if you can be together.
Don't spend her money, or it will give the wrong impression.
Your mother and I have some savings, and when we go back, I'll transfer 100,000 yuan to you.
You should save some money and spend some. Lin Chen was moved. It's not easy to earn 100,000 yuan in the countryside. Son, let me be frank with you.
Our family has a total of 300,000 to 400,000 yuan in savings, and the rest of the money will have to go towards your wedding.
This is the most we can give you. Lin Haidao said.
If Lin Chen and Su Mengyao could not be together and got married to other people in the future, they would still have to hold a banquet and pay a bride price.
They definitely could not spend all the money.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Dad, let me show you something. Lin Chen took out his mobile phone from his pocket. He opened the chat history with Chen Wenhan. I was laid off this time, so I had nothing to do, so I started writing fairy tales, and I didn't expect to have any talent in that area. The highest bid for my 10 fairy tales was already 680,000, and I signed a contract with the website, which gave me a signing bonus of 300,000.
I used that money to buy that car.
Lin Chen said with a smile.
Lin Hai was shocked. His son had this talent? Is this for real?
Lin Hai said in disbelief.
Lin Chen nodded, of course it's true. But you and Mom have to keep this a secret. If people find out about my identity, I'm afraid it will affect me taking Xiaoqian. You can log into the website and take a look. Lin Hai said. He was a little suspicious. Could it be that Su Mengyao had given Lin Chen the money, and that this chat record was fabricated by Lin Chen? Dad, where's the trust between us?
Lin Chen said with a sneer. Soon Lin Chen opened his computer and logged into tongxian.com. Lin Hai saw the data in Lin Chen's background. Lin Chen said, Dad, look, these 10 fairy tales have already received 30,000 to 40,000 rewards, and there will definitely be more rewards.
I can get 90% of the rewards from readers. Lin Hai asked, you haven't sold them yet?
Lin Chen shook his head, the price of 680,000 is a bit low, so I plan to contact a publishing house directly to publish them in the future. In the long run, the money earned will definitely be much more than 680,000.
These are golden hens that lay eggs. Lin Hai nodded, that's better. Son, if you develop well, there is hope for you and Su Mengyao in the future? Lin Chen laughed, Dad, there is still hope.
Even if there is no hope, you don't need to rush when I get married in the future.
Lin Hai nodded.
As long as Lin Chen can make his own money and have his own business, he definitely won't need them to worry about getting married in the future.
Dad, you must keep this a secret.
I don't want to be surrounded by many fans when I take Xixi out in the future.
Lin Chen warned.
He doesn't have many fans yet, but as he writes more and more fairy tales and publishes them in the future, his fan base will definitely be very impressive. If his identity is revealed, he may well be mobbed.
Don't worry. If people know you're making money, they'll still come to us for money. Lin Hai said.
He knows the situation in the countryside. They don't like you if you're poor, but they're afraid of you if you're rich. Dad, I don't have much money right now, but when I have some, I'll give you some money to show my respect.
Lin Chen said with a smile.
Lin Hai shook his head, you don't need to give us money. Your mother and I are still active, and we can still earn some money every year. We're not yet at the point where we need you to support us financially. Just take care of Xixi and yourself. Our house is not good, and it's not a big deal to change the frame structure.
Why don't we just tear the house down and build a new Chinese-style villa? If there's not enough money, I'll give it to you then.
Lin Hai frowned and said, tearing it down and rebuilding it will cost 500,000 yuan, and with the renovations, the total price will be close to 1 million. Lin Chen laughed and said, Dad, I wrote these 10 stories in a month, and they are worth at least 1 million.
The house needs to be done well, so you can live comfortably, and Su Mengyao might follow me back in the future? Lin Hai took a deep breath, that's fine, let's build the house. Dad!
Lin Xiaoxi ran to the door of the study.
Xiaoqian, what's wrong? Lin Chen asked.
Lin Xiaoxi said, Dad, I told Grandma that your cooking is the best, but she doesn't believe it.
Dad, I'm a good boy and I don't lie. Chen Mei also came over. Son, why does your little sister think the food tastes good?
Lin Chen muttered to himself, he is not the same person as he once was.
I have practiced cooking every day. I am a genius.
Lin Chen said with a smile.
He will not let anyone know about the existence of the system. Chapter 16, Origami planes are so useful?
In the evening, Lin Chen went to the kitchen to get busy. Chen Mei originally wanted her to cook dinner, but Lin Xiaoxi said she wanted to eat what her father cooked, and Lin Chen also wanted to let his parents try it.
Son, how did you learn to use a knife? Chen Mei looked on in amazement.
Lin Chen's knife skills were much better than hers. A fish was cleaned up in Lin Chen's hands in no time.
Practice makes perfect.
Lin Chen said with a smile.
Chen Mei was a little doubtful about life.
She had been cooking for half her life, but how had she not reached this level of perfection through practice? Mom, you and Dad take Xixi down to play. I'll pick you up today, she hasn't had enough outdoor exercise today.
Be back for dinner at 6. Lin Chen said.
Chen Mei nodded, and she and Lin Hai took Lin Xiaoxi out the door.
As soon as they left, Lin Chen processed the ingredients even faster.
If Chen Mei saw it, she would probably be shocked. It was a few minutes to 6 when Chen Mei and the others returned.
As soon as they entered, they could smell the rich aroma.
Dad, it smells so good.
Dad, I want some meat.
Lin Xiaoxi ran to the kitchen door and yelled. Lin Chen smiled and said, Xiaoxi, you take Grandpa and Grandma to wash your hands, and after you wash your hands, you can eat. Chen Mei and the others went to wash their hands, and Lin Chen served all the dishes. Seeing the 6 dishes on the table, Lin Chen's parents were shocked. Each dish looked like a work of art. The food in a 5-star hotel was probably no better than this. Chen Mei said crossly, you have such good cooking skills, but you've been hiding it from us.
Why didn't you cook at home before?
Lin Chen said, Mom, I used to be a bad cook.
In fact, it seems like I've suddenly gotten better this year. I learn everything quickly. My English used to be bad, but now it's gotten much better.
Lin Xiaoqian said, Grandpa and Grandma, Dad is so amazing. Lin Chen lifted Lin Xiaoqian onto the dining chair.
Dad and Mom, I've become a genius. Please don't tell anyone, I don't want to be taken away and used as a guinea pig. Lin Chen reminded his parents. Lin Xiaoqian asked curiously, Dad, what's a guinea pig?
Lin Hai and Chen Mei nodded solemnly.
Lin Xiaoqian didn't know, but of course they knew what a guinea pig was. They didn't want anything to happen to their only son. Let's eat.
Son, this dish looks good, but I don't know how it tastes. Chen Mei said, and they picked up their chopsticks and tasted it.
This taste shocked them even more. With the same ingredients, why is Lin Chen so delicious? Grandparents, Xixi didn't lie.
Dad's cooking is the best, and Xixi is a good girl. Lin Xiaoxi said, nibbling on a piece of spare rib.
Yes, our Xixi is the best.
Lin Hai and Chen Mei hurriedly said. Lin Xiaoxi smiled sweetly, Daddy, I want another big piece of spare rib. The spare rib is so fragrant and delicious.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Xiaoxi, Daddy will give you another piece of spare rib, but you have to eat some vegetables, okay? Lin Xiaoxi nodded obediently.
The vegetables that Lin Chen cooked had also become tastier, and she was no longer as averse to eating vegetables as she had been at first. After finishing the meal, Chen Mei and the others were full.
Son, you take Xixi. We'll clean up. Chen Mei said. Lin Chen nodded. What's the point of being polite with your own parents?
After Lin Chen had taken Lin Xiaoxi out the door, Chen Mei said, Honey, with our son's cooking skills, I think it's entirely possible that Xixi's mother and he will end up together in the future.
Lin Hai nodded. There's something I haven't had a chance to tell you yet. Our son has made money.
Lin Hai told him about Lin Chen's fairy tale writing.
Chen Mei, it seems that our son has really become a genius. We have to keep this secret and not let it get out. Lin Hai nodded.
There are many geniuses in the world, and even if it gets out, it may not actually cause any problems, but as parents, they are worried.
What if something happens to their only son? Dad, what's that? Lin Xiaoxi asked.
They went downstairs and saw other children playing with paper airplanes. Lin Chen smiled and said, That's a paper airplane. If you want to play, go ask the ant for 2 sheets of paper and be polite.
Lin Xiaoxi nodded.
She was very sweet and soon got a few sheets of paper.
Dad, you teach me. Lin Xiaoxi handed Lin Chen a few sheets of paper. Okay. Dad will teach you how to fold an origami airplane.
Lin Chen patiently and slowly taught Lin Xiaoqian how to fold it.
In the blink of an eye, 5 minutes passed.
The system voice sounded in Lin Chen's mind. The host taught Lin Xiaoqian how to fold an origami airplane and obtained aircraft manufacturing technology.
100 hours to master level, 200 hours to grandmaster level.
Lin Chen was stunned.
Taught Lin Xiaoqian how to fold an origami airplane and obtained aircraft manufacturing technology? The system is very powerful. System, the time for this one has increased.
Lin Chen thought to himself.
System, host, this one is much more difficult. Naturally, the time required for improvement will also increase a bit.
200 hours, and he can reach the Grandmaster level in aircraft manufacturing technology, the top in the world.
What else is there to be unsatisfied with? System, do fighter jets and civilian passenger aircraft both count? Lin Chen asked.
System, as long as it's an aircraft, it all counts, including small drones, large drones, early warning aircraft, fighter jets, tankers, civilian passenger aircraft, etc.
Lin Chen marveled. The system is really a thoughtful little coat. Dad, it's hard. Xixi can't do it. Lin Xiaoxi said sulkily.
She took a piece of paper and tried, but she was only a little over 2 years old, and she couldn't even fold the simplest paper airplane.
Xixi, don't worry.
There are all kinds of paper airplanes on the internet, and in the future, Dad will teach you, and Xixi will be the best at folding paper airplanes.
Lin Chen said with a smile. Lin Xiaoqian pouted, Daddy, I want to give it to my grandparents so they have a plane to go home. But I can't fold it.
Lin Chen comforted, Xiaoqian, you want to give it to your grandparents, and they will be very happy when they receive it.
Xiaoqian, don't worry, your grandparents will be staying with us for a few days, so you still have time to learn how to fold it properly. Lin Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. Daddy, I will be serious.
Unbeknownst to them, 2 days had passed. Lin Chen had uploaded 30 fairy tales.
Each of these 30 fairy tales is above the immortal grass.
The entire industry was shaken. It is not easy to publish a fairy tale above the immortal grass. Lin Yu has created 30 of them alone.
Big brother, 30 fairy tales packaged together, a publishing house offered 3 million. Chen Wenhan excitedly messaged Lin Chen.
100,000 yuan for a fairy tale, this price is pretty good. Editor-in-Chief, I want to self-publish. Lin Chen replied. Big brother, self-publishing carries certain risks. You'll only get 16% as royalties at most. For a book priced at 30 yuan, you'll only get 4.8 yuan. You need to sell 600,000 copies to earn 3 million yuan. Chen Wenhan replied after a moment's consideration. Lin Chen, you don't think it will sell 600,000 copies? It should be possible, but there are still some risks. Chen Wenhan said. The quality of the work is good, but good quality doesn't necessarily mean good sales. Editor-in-Chief, I want to publish it myself. Chapter 17, A Special Contract. Chen Wenhan quickly spread the news. Alas! 3 million didn't even sway him. That's normal. Zhang used to get 20 million in royalties a year. Can Lin Yu, at his level, meet this 3 million? What royalty rate should he be offered? His name is new, but his level is definitely among the best. If the royalty rate is too low, he might as well be eliminated. Publishers from all over discussed this. E-books are all the rage these days, and paper books are not selling well. But children's books are still selling well, and parents don't want to hold a mobile phone or tablet while they read to their children. Many publishers are competing for this market. The meeting room of Tongxin Wang. Boss, we also have our own publishing house, and after all these years of development, we are not weak. We can compete. Chen Wenhan said. Liang Zhirong, the boss of Tongxin Wang, said, Chen, although I founded Tongxin Wang, I don't know much about fairy tales. If we fight for this, our relationship with some publishers may worsen. Chen Wenhan said, the quality of these fairy tales by Lin Yu is absolutely unbeatable. Even if we pay a relatively high price and suffer in the short term, we will make a lot of money in the long term. As long as he can write 30 such stories every year, he will be unstoppable and his position will be unassailable. In today's market, where sentimentality doesn't matter, we'd be crazy to give up such a piece of the pie. Another editor said, Chen, you make sense, but what if this is all Lin Yu has to offer? 30 fairy tales a year that are nothing but fairy tales? You're overestimating him. If he can keep it up, it'll be worth it no matter what. His fame will only grow, and fame equals traffic, which equals money. But if he can't write any more good stories, it won't be worth the price we'll have to pay to get him. Everyone chimed in. Boss Liang Zhirong fully listened to their opinions. I understand what you mean. If Lin Yu can continue to fly, we will fly with him. If he can't continue to fly, we will have to follow him up and eat dirt. Liang Zhirong said. Chen Wenhan and the others nodded. Liang Zhirong said, Chen, contact Lin Yu and ask him if he is willing to sign a special contract with us. His total book sales are within 500,000 copies, and the royalty rate is 15%. Sales of 500,000 to 2 million copies, the royalty rate is 16%. 17% for 2 million to 5 million copies, and 18% for all books with a cumulative total of more than 5 million copies. Chen Wenhan looked at his boss in surprise. The normal 15% was already the limit. An 18% rate would squeeze their profits a lot. After all, publishing books involves expenses in every aspect. The royalty rate for an ordinary author is already pretty good at 10%. The lowest is 6 or 7%. Aren't you afraid that he won't be able to write in the future? He should sign. If he can write. Liang Zhirong said. With such a high royalty rate, he can afford it, but others can't. He has Tongxin Wang, which is getting better and better, and Tongxin Wang will become stronger and stronger, which can make up for it. Boss, are there any other benefits? This is the only thing I'm afraid he may not cooperate with us. Chen Wenhan asked. Liang Zhirong thought for a while and said, we will print 300,000 copies in the first printing. We can give him the money for these 300,000 copies when we sign the contract. Boss, isn't printing 300,000 copies in the first printing a bit risky? Said another editor. Liang Zhirong, you all think his fairy tales are of reliable quality, and in that case, I believe the sales will definitely not be bad. Chen, you tell him that if there is a reprint in the future, as long as we start printing, his royalties will be transferred to him immediately. Chen Wenhan nodded. He quickly sent a message to Lin Chen. Such a contract? It's interesting. Lin Chen's face showed a faint smile. It's not bad to cooperate with tongxin.com, and he is actually happy to cooperate with tongxin.com. It's fine. Lin Chen quickly messaged Chen Wenhan back. Boss, Lin Yu has agreed.
Chen Wenhan said happily.
Liang Zhirong, Chen, this contract is very important. We need to meet with him and sign it offline.
You make an appointment with him, I'll go with you to meet him.
Okay.
Chen Wenhan messaged.
Lin Chen thought for a moment. Now that his parents were there, he could meet with Chen Wenhan and the others.
Editor-in-Chief Chen, signing the contract offline is fine.
But I have to bring my child, I can't go far, and besides, I don't want my child to be affected by my fame. You can come over to sign the contract, but don't take any photos and let them go viral. Lin Chen messaged back after a moment of consideration.
Bring your child?
It seems that Lin Yu is quite young.
Agree with him, let's hurry up and set off. Liang Zhirong smiled. They weren't in the Magic City, so after buying the tickets, Liang Zhirong and the others quickly left for the Magic City, and they arrived in the afternoon. Are you boss Lin Yu? Lin Chen and Chen Wenhan were shocked to see Lin Yu.
The boss in their eyes was so young. Lin Chen smiled and said, Mr. Liang, Mr. Chen, my real name is Lin Chen, you can just call me by my name. Chen Wenhan and the others shook Lin Chen's hand.
Lin Chen, I really didn't expect you to be so young. Chen Wenhan said with emotion.
Lin Chen laughed and said, young people have a childlike heart, and they have an advantage in writing fairy tales.
Chen Wenhan nodded, that's true. Lin Chen, I want to ask you how much time did you spend writing those fairy tales? Less than a month. I can write one every day, but I may not be as diligent in the future. Lin Chen said. Liang Zhirong and the others were shocked. Chen Wenhan said in disbelief, Lin Chen, are you sure it was less than a month? You were able to write one every day?
Lin Chen muttered to himself.
He didn't write one every day.
He could write 10 when he had time with the kids.
Lin Chen nodded. Liang Zhirong and Chen Wenhan were overjoyed.
It would be great if Lin Chen could maintain this level for a long time. Lin Chen, for the same quality of fairy tales, as long as you exceed 30 per year, I will give you 10,000 bonuses for each of the extra ones.
Liang Zhirong promised.
Lin Chen laughed and said, President Liang, thank you very much. 10,000 bonuses per story, that's very attractive. Now that he still has quite a bit of inventory from the system, he can write 10 stories a day and get 100,000 bonuses. Of course, it's impossible to write that much every day.
That would be too abnormal. Lin Chen, let's sign the contract.
Chen Wenhan said, taking out the contract from his bag.
Lin Chen read it carefully and didn't find any problems.
He signed his name and his pen name.
Liang Zhirong also signed his name and stamped the company seal.
President Liang, Editor-in-Chief Chen, you have come a long way, I'll treat you to dinner as a token of my hospitality. Lin Chen smiled. They were in a tea house, next to a restaurant. After dinner, Lin Chen hurried home.
Grandma, when is Daddy coming home? Xixi misses Daddy.
Lin Chen heard Lin Xiaoxi's voice outside the door. His constitution had reached 93 points, and with his enhanced constitution, Lin Chen found that his hearing had improved quite a bit.
Daddy should be here soon.
Lin Chen's mother, Chen Mei, said. She was a little helpless, as Lin Xiaoxi had asked no less than 20 times.
Lin Chen quickly opened the door. Dad! Dad, I miss you so much.
Lin Xiaoxi ran cheerfully towards Lin Chen and hugged his legs.
Have you been a good boy and eaten your food?
Lin Chen bent down and picked up Lin Xiaoxi. Lin Xiaoxi said, Dad, I didn't finish eating.
It's my stomach that's full, not Grandma's food that's not tasty. Chapter 18 Su Mengyao is here. Chen Mei looked a little helpless.
She had already given it her best shot, but there was a big difference between her level and Lin Chen's, so the taste of the food she made was definitely much worse.
Mom, the food you make is still pretty good. I've been eating it for so many years, and I still like the food you make.
Lin Chen said with a smile, and it's fine if Xixi eats less.
For children to be healthy, they need to be a little hungry and a little cold. Chen Mei nodded. Xixi, when Grandma gets home, I'll practice hard, so that when you go to Grandma's house in the future, I'll definitely cook better. Lin Xiaoxi said in a baby voice, Grandma, Mom says that children shouldn't be picky eaters. Grandma's cooking is also delicious. Our Xixi is really good.
Chen Mei said with a smile. Dad, you teach me to fold paper airplanes. Lin Xiaoxi still remembered that she wanted to give Chen Mei and the others paper airplanes.
Okay.
Lin Chen took Lin Xiaoxi to the balcony and taught her carefully. 2 hours later, after a bath and a story, Lin Xiaoxi fell asleep. Lin Chen went to the living room, where Chen Mei and the others were watching TV.
Son, how's the contract coming along? Lin Hai asked.
They knew that Lin Chen had gone out to sign a contract with the publisher. Lin Chen laughed and said, I've already fed them, so of course the contract is signed. The first print run will be 300,000 copies, and the royalties for the first print run of 1 million or so should be transferred to my account soon. Lin Hai and the others looked at Lin Chen in shock. They had never earned so much money in their lives. Dad, I will find a good company online to build the house, and they will provide everything, so you will be much more relaxed. You just need to supervise them.
Lin Chen said. Lin Hai was surprised and asked, why don't you hire someone from the local area to build it?
Lin Chen shook his head and said, the construction team from our area is good at building the old-fashioned houses from before, and even if they are given the drawings, they may still build something that doesn't look right. There's nothing wrong with hiring a professional company to build it, except that it may cost a bit more.
Lin Hai nodded. Son, we plan to go back tomorrow. Lin Chen said in surprise, so soon?
Lin Hai said, we have to go back to complete the formalities for building the house, and we have to hurry if we want it to be completed before the end of the year, otherwise we'll have to stay with other people during the new year. Once the house is built, maybe you can take Xixi back for the new year.
Lin Chen guessed that the latter was the point.
Lin Hai and the others probably wanted him to take Lin Xiaoxi back for the new year.
Son, it would be best if you could bring Meng Yao back with you, Chen Mei said.
The next day, Lin Chen and Lin Xiaoxi saw Chen Mei and the others off at the airport.
Grandparents, I have a gift for you. Close your eyes,
Lin Xiaoxi said mysteriously. Chen Mei and Lin Hai closed their eyes. Lin Xiaoqian took out a paper airplane that she had folded by hand. Grandparents, look, this is the paper airplane I made.
Seeing it will remind you of Xixi.
Lin Chen said in surprise, Xiaoqian, you said before that if grandparents' airplane flew away, they could fly in yours.
How come you've changed your mind now? Lin Xiaoqian giggled and said, silly dad, this is a paper airplane, it's not real, and it can't carry people. Lin Chen.
Lin Hai and Chen Mei laughed heartily.
Thank you, Xixi.
Chen Mei hugged Lin Xiaoqian and kissed her.
Goodbye, grandparents.
Chen Mei and the others entered the airport, and Lin Chen drove away.
An hour passed.
Host, you have accumulated 20 hours of driving, and your driving skills have improved to the level of Grandmaster. The system's voice sounded in Lin Chen's mind. Lin Chen's parents had been here for 3 days, and during this time, he had taken Lin Xiaoqian and his parents to many places in the city.
He spent a lot of time driving. This is Grandmaster level, that's really good.
Lin Chen's face broke into a smile.
Grandmaster level is the world's top level.
The world's top racers are now more or less on the same level as Lin Chen. But Lin Chen's level can continue to improve. He can still reach legendary level, mythical level.
System, what level are my various skills at? Lin Chen asked in his mind. He really hadn't paid much attention to this.
Anyway, improving these skills just happened naturally when he was taking care of Lin Xiaoxi.
Trying to deliberately improve them would not improve his abilities.
The system said, Host, you have had 30 hours of cooking, which is equivalent to 30 years of hard study for the rest of the people. Your cooking has reached the Grandmaster level. Your fairy tale writing is at the Grandmaster level, your driving is at the Grandmaster level, your painting and calligraphy are at the Master level, and the rest have not yet reached the Master level. In addition, your physical fitness is 95 points.
You are proficient in 4 languages, English, German, French, and Russian.
Lin Chen's face revealed a faint smile. He hadn't owned the system for long, but he had already been reborn.
Dad, I miss Mommy. When is Mommy coming back to see Xixi? Does Mommy not want Xixi anymore? Lin Xiaoqian started to cry as she spoke. Lin Chen hurriedly coaxed, Xixi, how could Mommy not want you? Mommy will be back in no time. When you get home, will you call Mommy? Lin Xiaoqian nodded. Dad, how long will it be before we get home? I miss Mommy so much.
Lin Chen said, very soon, after we pass the intersection up ahead. Half a minute passed, and Lin Xiaoqian looked out the window and said in surprise, Dad, I see Mommy's car. The car just now was Mommy's.
Lin Chen said in surprise, Xiaoqian, are you sure?
Someone else might be driving the same car as your mom.
Dad, that's Mommy's car.
Lin Xiaoqian said very affirmatively.
Lin Chen muttered to himself, Su Mengyao didn't tell him, is she trying to surprise him and see how he'll react?
Soon Lin Chen drove into the residential area.
Ding!
His phone rang as he got out of the car. It was Su Mengyao.
Lin Chen, where have you and Xixi gone? I've arrived outside the house you rented, but no one answered the doorbell.
The call connected and Su Mengyao asked.
Lin Chen, we're in the underground garage, we'll be right up.
Soon Lin Chen and the others went upstairs.
Mom!
Mom, I miss you so much. Lin Xiaoxi shouted excitedly when she saw Su Mengyao.
Xixi, I miss you too, Mom. Su Mengyao smiled and took Lin Xiaoxi's hand. Lin Xiaoxi asked innocently, Mom, do you miss Dad? Dad misses you very much. Lin Chen. When did he say he missed Su Mengyao? Su Mengyao looked at Lin Chen.
Lin Chen was a little embarrassed. Although he had had sex with Su Mengyao and they had a child together, they really didn't know each other very well.
Mom, do you miss Dad? Lin Xiaoxi asked again. Well, yes. Su Mengyao nodded.
If she said no, it would affect Lin Xiaoxi if her parents didn't get along.
Lin Xiaoxi said hopefully, Mom, can you not leave, okay? Xixi wants to sleep with Mommy and Daddy at night. Good girl. Lin Chen secretly praised Lin Xiaoxi. Chapter 19, Discussing Getting Married with Su Mengyao.
Su Mengyao, Xixi is a good girl, but Mommy has been very busy lately.
Mommy has to come see you, but then I have to go back. Lin Xiaoxi said with a sad face, Mommy, are you going to leave soon? Xixi really misses Mommy. Lin Chen opened the door.
Su Mengyao carried Lin Xiaoxi into the house, and Lin Chen took out a pair of slippers from the shoe cabinet for her.
Xixi, you go and play for a while. Mom and Dad want to talk.
Su Mengyao put Lin Xiaoxi on the ground and said,
Mom, are you going to kiss? Su Mengyao.
Lin Chen, come here for a moment. Su Mengyao went to the study, and Lin Chen followed. Su Mengyao said, Lin Chen, the rent here is not low, and your salary is not high, so you shouldn't have saved much money.
Why didn't you refuse the 60,000 yuan?
Lin Chen said, Xiaoqian is also my daughter, and it is only right that I give her better conditions. I don't need to take your money, I can still afford to support her.
Su Mengyao's eyebrows furrowed.
In her opinion, Lin Chen was a bit of a hypocrite. Lin Chen, you and your people have worked hard, and I have money, so it is only right that I give you some living expenses. It is really much better for Xixi if you live here.
How about I increase it to 50,000 yuan per month? Su Mengyao asked.
Lin Chen's brows furrowed slightly, I don't think you're giving me too little.
20,000 yuan per month is a lot of living expenses. I really do have money.
Speaking of which, Lin Chen took out his phone and opened a bank text message. When he returned, he had refueled and spent 400 yuan, and the text message showed that the balance was still over 1.4 million yuan.
TongXIN.com had already paid him 300,000 yuan in initial print money.
The initial print royalties were 1.35 million yuan, and together with the original tens of thousands of yuan, the total was over 1.4 million yuan.
You won the lottery? Su Mengyao said in surprise. Lin Chen. Can't I earn this money myself?
Su Mengyao said doubtfully, before I sent Xixi here, I learned that you only made a few thousand a month before you were laid off.
Lin Chen smiled faintly, who doesn't have secrets?
I didn't know you were actually a rich man's daughter before.
Xixi said you also have a private jet?
Su Mengyao said, I bought it during my pregnancy. It was inconvenient to take a business flight when I was pregnant, and it was even more inconvenient to take a plane with a child after Xixi was born. So I bought a small business jet.
Lin Chen nodded, that is indeed much more convenient. Take the 60,000 yuan with you when you go.
As you just saw, I have no problem raising Xiaoqian.
Su Mengyao nodded. Lin Chen has a few million in his bank account, which is indeed enough to spend. Su Mengyao, there is a question I want to discuss with you.
If you marry someone else in the future, let Xiaoqian stay with me.
Lin Chen said. Su Mengyao hurriedly said, no, Xiaoqian is mine. Lin Chen, calm down.
If you don't get married, this problem won't exist.
But if you do marry someone else, would it really be good for Xiaoqian to follow you?
If Xiaoqian follows me, I will take care of her with all my heart.
Su Mengyao frowned and said, let Xiaoqian follow you, and then come a stepmother? Isn't that the same thing?
Lin Chen shook his head, it's not the same. It's fine for a man to get married later, but the optimal marriage age for a woman is much younger.
We can also change the conditions. Whoever gets married first will have custody of Xiao Qian, how's that?
That would be better for Xiao Qian.
Su Mengyao nodded, okay.
You won't get custody, and I have no plans to get married.
Lin Chen said, are you sure you have no plans to get married?
Of course.
I'll be fine with Xixi.
Su Mengyao said indifferently.
Lin Chen laughed, Su Mengyao, since you don't have such plans, why don't we go get a certificate?
Ha? Su Mengyao frowned slightly. Lin Chen said, Xixi is already beginning to understand things, and it's not good for her to know that we had her without being married. Other children are the product of their parents' love, but she was an accident.
Do you think that would be hurtful to her? Su Mengyao pondered.
Lin Chen said, don't worry, even if we get a certificate, you'll still be you and I'll still be me.
I don't want a single penny of your property.
We can go to a notary public to get it notarized.
After marriage, your property will still be yours. Su Mengyao thought for a moment and said, what you said also makes sense. Xixi is more sensible than most children.
Lin Chen said, simply getting a certificate will not change anything.
If you don't plan to get married, it won't affect you.
By the way, when Xixi said she missed you, she was just talking nonsense.
I think she may have realized something. Su Mengyao was silent.
She originally planned to never get married in her life.
But getting a certificate with Lin Chen would indeed be better for Lin Xiaoxi. I have no problem with it.
As you said, first get it notarized, then get the certificate.
Su Mengyao said.
Her family has too much money, so she definitely has to be careful in this regard.
No problem.
Lin Chen smiled and said.
Su Mengyao, if you like a girl and want to chase her, you should propose a divorce before taking action.
If you cheat on me during the marriage, it will have a significant impact on me.
You too? Lin Chen said. Su Mengyao nodded, of course.
Lin Chen said with a smile, then there's no problem, it's quite fair.
When is it convenient for you?
Su Mengyao thought for a moment and said, I'll ask Xinqing to take care of Xixi, and you can come with me in the afternoon with the household register. I can go and apply for the divorce as soon as I get home and get the household register.
Okay. Lin Chen nodded. The two of them agreed and went outside.
Lin Xiaoxi was alone on the balcony, writing.
Su Mengyao walked over to her. Mom, look, Dad taught me how to write this.
Xixi can already write her own name.
Lin Xiaoxian said in a baby voice.
Su Mengyao was a little surprised.
Lin Xiaoxian's writing wasn't bad. Xiaoqian, did Dad write this?
Su Mengyao picked up a piece of paper next to her. It had the characters Lin Chen Duo had written after he had reached the level of a master calligrapher.
Each character gave off a pleasing feeling. Yes. Dad is amazing.
Dad taught me how to write, draw, play football, sing, and he even taught me English.
Lin Xiaoxi said with admiration. Su Mengyao was a little jealous.
Lin Xiaoxi had never looked up to her like that.
She had taught Lin Xiaoxi all that too. Lin Chen said, Mengyao, are you and Xinqiang having lunch here? There's nothing in the fridge, so I'll go out and buy some food. Su Mengyao was taken aback.
Lin Chen had actually called her Mengyao. But soon Su Mengyao realized that Lin Chen probably called her that because Lin Xiaoxi was nearby.
Let's go out to eat together. Don't bother. Su Mengyao shook her head. Lin Xiaoxi said, Mom, I don't want to eat out. Dad's cooking is better than anything you can find outside. Lin Chen laughed and said, I'll go out and buy some food.
I didn't know you were coming, and we only have enough food for Xiaoxi and me at home.
Su Mengyao nodded. Lin Chen went out the door, and Su Mengyao patted Lin Xiaoxi on the head. Xixi, you ungrateful little thing, I've been taking care of you for so long, and you're more on your father's side.
Lin Xiaoxi looked at her mother with confusion.
Mom, I'm not. I love you the most. Lin Xiaoxi hugged Su Mengyao and kissed her. Mom, has Dad kissed you? Su Mengyao. Chapter 20. Su Mengyao is shocked. Xixi, Daddy and Mummy have a little problem, but Daddy and Mummy both love you, you know? Su Mengyao said to Lin Xiaoxi. Lin Xiaoxi said with a downcast expression, Mummy, have you divorced? Will you stop loving Xixi? Su Mengyao hugged Lin Xiaoxi tightly. Xixi, what are you talking about? Didn't Mummy just say it? Both Mummy and Daddy love you. How could your parents not love you? Su Mengyao quickly said. What have you and Dad been up to recently?
Su Mengyao successfully changed the subject.
Lin Xiaoxi's face quickly lit up with a smile. Mom, I'll tell you a secret. Dad and I looked for this house together, and we both like it. Lin Xiaoxi talked about a number of things in a rambling way.
Su Mengyao was a little surprised.
Lin Chen seemed to know a lot.
In addition, Lin Chen's parents had actually come to see Lin Xiaoxi. After Lin Xiaoqian and the others had finished chatting, Lin Chen returned.
Su Mengyao went to the kitchen. Do you need any help?
Lin Chen shook her head. No, Xiaoqian has missed you. She hasn't seen you for a long time, so please spend some time with her. I'm quite a fast cook, so I'll be done in about an hour.
Thank you for your hard work,
Su Mengyao said, and returned to the balcony.
Lin Chen quickly got to work.
He brought his full culinary skills to bear, and in less than an hour he had prepared 5 dishes and a soup.
Ding dong.
Xinsheng arrived just in time.
Wow, looks like I came at the right time. Lin Chen, why do I feel that the food you cooked this time is even better than the last time?
Xinsheng said in surprise as she looked at the dishes on the table. Su Mengyao finished washing her hands with Lin Xiaoxi. She also looked shocked when she saw the dishes on the table.
Mom, Xixi wasn't lying. Dad's cooking is the best, I love it,
Lin Xiaoxi said sweetly.
Lin Chen carried Lin Xiaoqian to the dining chair. Mengyao, Xinsheng, don't just stand there, sit down and eat. I'll be rude.
Xinsheng sat down and quickly picked up a chopstick.
This.
The first bite went down, and Xinsheng froze.
Lin Chen, last time Mengyao wasn't here, you were deliberately hiding your strength, weren't you?
Although it was delicious last time, the taste was not on the same level as it is now,
Xinsheng said.
To verify her thoughts, she picked up another dish.
Sure enough, it was just as she had expected. Mengyao, if you want to eat the best, you have to follow you,
Xinsheng said with a satisfied look. Su Mengyao was puzzled. Could it really be this delicious?
The dishes looked top-notch, and the taste was also so good?
Soon she picked up a pair of chopsticks. When the dish entered her mouth, Su Mengyao was shocked. She has eaten a lot of delicious food, but she is not that demanding when it comes to food. Occasionally, she will ask the chef to cook something special for her, but most of the time she will not make such a request.
Now Su Mengyao discovered that the food cooked by Lin Chen was even more delicious than any of the fine food she had eaten before.
Lin Chen's cooking skills are now at the level of a grandmaster, the top level in the world. There are so many 5-star hotels in the world, and only a very small proportion of chefs can reach the level of a grandmaster. There are only a handful of grandmasters in the world. Lin Chen's understanding of food
tried all 6 dishes. Lin Chen, didn't you hold back last time? Xinsheng asked.
Lin Chen laughed and said, I told you, last time I was pressed for time and my performance was average.
This time I had more time. After finishing the meal, Su Mengyao was shocked. Lin Chen's cooking skills are good enough to cook for a state banquet. Lin Chen, do you want to open a restaurant? If you open a restaurant, you will definitely make a lot of money, Su Mengyao asked.
Lin Chen shook his head, I don't have that kind of idea. You have a lot of things to do at your company and you fly around a lot.
If I'm still busy, who will take care of Xiaoqian?
You can't make money forever, but Xiaoqian will grow up day by day.
Su Mengyao nodded slightly. I'm sorry.
Lin Chen chuckled, no need to be sorry, I like taking care of Lin Xiaoqian.
Xinsheng, Mengyao, you guys hurry up and go.
I've eaten for free twice, and I'll wash the dishes later when Lin Xiaoqian falls asleep.
Lin Xiaoqian asked in puzzlement, Mom and Dad, where are you going?
Lin Chen knelt down and kissed Lin Xiaoqian, Mom and Dad are going on a date, you stay home and sleep.
Mom and Dad need to go on dates to keep the relationship going, don't they? Su Mengyao blushed slightly. She hadn't really gone on a date before. Xixi, we'll be back in no time.
Soon Lin Chen and Su Mengyao went out, and Lin Xiaoxi didn't make a fuss, as if she was happy for them to go out on a date. Your car is still outside the community, take my car,
Lin Chen said. Su Mengyao got into Lin Chen's car in the parking lot.
I heard Xixi say that you bought this car together?
Su Mengyao asked.
Lin Chen nodded, I just bought it a few days ago. But don't worry, I'm a pretty good driver. Soon Lin Chen smoothly started the car.
They first went to the notary office to get their marriage notarized.
They had no objections to separate property before and after marriage.
Lin Chen, how come you're such a good cook? Su Mengyao asked curiously.
Lin Chen chuckled, it's probably a talent.
Don't even think about asking me to open a restaurant, I'm not interested. Unbeknownst to them, half an hour passed. Su Mengyau's phone rang. She answered it, and the person on the other end of the line said anxiously, President, there's a problem with the shipment we sent to Bear Country. The other party contacted us. Our Russian translator is on vacation and can't be reached, and the other party's Chinese translator is very poor and doesn't understand the translation. Su Mengyao frowned and said, then hurry up and find a Russian translator. President, we're looking for, the other party is in a hurry, so I want to ask if you know anyone in this field. Su Mengyao said, I don't know any Russian translators.
Lin Chen suddenly spoke up, Su Mengyao, I know Russian. If you're in a hurry, I can help you translate.
Ha? Su Mengyao looked at Lin Chen in surprise. Lin Chen, are you sure?
Of course. Su Mengyao took out her phone and said, a friend of mine next to me speaks Russian.
Put him on speakerphone and let him try translating. Su Mengyao also turned on speakerphone as she spoke. Okay, President. Time passed slowly as Lin Chen translated with ease.
His Russian is at the level of simultaneous interpretation, and translating a call like this is just a piece of cake for him.
President, it's solved. After hanging up the phone, Su Mengyao looked at Lin Chen in amazement. According to the information her father had found, Lin Chen was not very ordinary, right? How come Lin Chen's cooking is so good? And his Russian is surprisingly good too.
Lin Chen, I heard Xixi say that you taught her English, and your English level must be very good too.
Su Mengyao asked.
Lin Chen laughed and said, maybe I'm just naturally gifted when it comes to languages.
I speak English, French, German, and Russian. You? Su Mengyao was shocked. Lin Chen could speak 4 foreign languages.
Lin Chen was just a little too ordinary.
Chapter 21, I've already married Su Mengyao. You speak English, French, German, and you're just starting to learn Russian? Su Mengyao couldn't believe what she was hearing. More or less. I learned Russian last.
Su Mengyao started chatting with Lin Chen in English.
Lin Chen had a relaxed conversation with her, speaking even more standardly and idiomatically.
Lin Chen chuckled and said, don't worry, I can teach Xiao Qian without any problems, and I won't teach her the wrong things. Lin Chen, with your level of proficiency, you could become a translator, Su Mengyao exclaimed.
Lin Chen smiled and said, I have taken on translation work online.
I can take on one order every day without any problem, and I can easily earn 7,000 to 8,000 yuan per order.
Is this how you make all your money? Su Mengyao asked.
Lin Chen shook his head and said, some of it is earned this way, and some of it is earned by other means.
Anyway, it's not illegal income. I can still support Xiao Qian without any problem. Su Mengyao nodded lightly. Why did you quit your last job? Su Mengyao asked with some confusion.
With Lin Chen's cooking skills and foreign language abilities, he could easily find other, higher-paying jobs. Lin Chen smiled faintly and said, I'll tell you later. Showing off his abilities while maintaining a certain sense of mystery, Su Mengyao's curiosity about him would definitely increase a lot. With his curiosity piqued, and after he had tricked Su Mengyao into getting her certificate first, he was convinced that he would be able to win Su Mengyao over in the future.
It's just the front community.
You can just drive there, and I'll tell the security guard.
Su Mengyao said.
Lin Chen nodded, and he drove into the community, and eventually the car stopped outside Su Mengyao's large villa. Generally, a villa is only about 300 to 400 square meters. A villa of 500 to 600 square meters is considered quite large. Su Mengyao's villa is estimated by Lin Chen to be over 1,000 square meters. No wonder Lin Xiaoxi said that her mother's house is like a castle.
Lin Chen, would you like to come in and have a seat? Su Mengyao asked.
Deep down, she actually felt a little resistance, but Lin Chen was after all Lin Xiaoxi's father, and she had also eaten dinner at Lin Chen's place and was going to go get a marriage license together.
No. Let's hurry up.
I don't know how long it will take at the Civil Affairs Bureau, and it will take time to get back.
Lin Chen said. Su Mengyao nodded.
She quickly got the household registration book when she got to the house. In the future, perhaps they can register for marriage with just their ID cards, but this policy has not yet been implemented. If they want to get married, the two of them still need their household registration books.
Let's go.
Su Mengyao calmly said as she returned to the car.
20 minutes later, Lin Chen and the others arrived outside the Civil Affairs Bureau.
Su Mengyao, I'll call you Mengyao from now on. If I call you by your name, the staff will be very surprised. Also, when we take the photo, you have to smile.
Our marriage certificate will be seen by Xiao Qian in the future. Lin Chen said. Su Mengyao nodded slightly. The two got out of the car and entered the Civil Affairs Bureau. Nowadays, with low marriage rates and high divorce rates, the Civil Affairs Bureau is deserted, while the divorce queues are long. Tilt your head a little and smile. Ka-cha. The staff at the Civil Affairs Bureau took a photo of Lin Chen and his bride-to-be. It wasn't long before they got their shiny new marriage certificate. Su Mengyao looked a little dazed as they walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. She had never planned to get married, but now she had just gotten a marriage certificate with Lin Chen. Lin Chen, I won't tell my parents about our marriage certificate, and you shouldn't tell yours either. This is not a matter for our two families. We, as parents, just want what's best for Xixi. Su Mengyao spoke as they got back in the car. Lin Chen nodded, no problem. Don't worry, as long as you don't agree, I definitely won't say anything. Su Mengyao, don't tell Xixi for now either. When she's older and starts to wonder, then you can show her. Okay. Lin Chen nodded. Su Mengyao was probably worried that if she told Lin Xiaoxi would not be able to keep a secret and would tell everyone soon. Creak. Lin Chen drove to the outside of a flower shop. He had seen a flower shop here when he arrived. What are you doing? Su Mengyao asked, puzzled. Lin Chen laughed and said, I'm buying you a bouquet of flowers. We're going out on a date today, so you can't go empty-handed, can you? Don't look at Xixi as a little girl, she's very smart. Su Mengyao said, I can buy them myself. It's just a bunch of flowers, I can still afford it. Lin Chen quickly got out of the car and went inside the flower shop. How much is this one? Lin Chen pointed to a large bunch of roses. The flower shop owner quickly quoted the price, which was a little expensive, but Lin Chen didn't bother to bargain so much. Please give me a card. The owner gave Lin Chen a pink heart-shaped card. Wife, I love you. Lin Chen wrote a few words. Boss, do you have any colored pens? Lin Chen asked. Yes. The boss took out a set of colored pens from the cabinet for Lin Chen. Lin Chen quickly drew three little people. Dad was hugging mom with his left arm, and holding a little girl with his right arm. The three little people looked quite similar to him, Su Mengyao and Lin Xiaoxi. Thanks, boss. Lin Chen scanned the QR code, paid and took the flowers out. Mengyao, happy wedding. Lin Chen gave the flowers to Su Mengyao. Su Mengyao's face turned slightly red. Lin Chen said, I'll take some photos of you, and you can show them to Xixi later to fool her. Without waiting for Su Mengyao to refuse, he took out his phone. Holding the flowers, Su Mengyao let Lin Chen take a few photos. Lin Chen's heart beat faster. His wife was really pretty. Unfortunately, although his marriage certificate with Su Mengyao was real, their relationship was fake. Su Mengyao was an iceberg. Su Mengyao was the school beauty queen before, but after the incident, she completely sealed herself off. Let me add you on WeChat. I'll send you the photos. If I don't even have your WeChat, Xixi will be very suspicious. Lin Chen said. Su Mengyao opened her phone and added Lin Chen's WeChat. Let's go back. I'll go over and see Xixi, then I'll have to leave. Su Mengyao said calmly. Lin Chen nodded, and he started the car and returned. Mengyao, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Lin Chen asked. Su Mengyao glanced at Lin Chen and said indifferently, unless you're in front of Xixi, otherwise you should still call me Su Mengyao. Lin Chen nodded. An iceberg doesn't melt all at once, so take your time. The marriage certificate was obtained, and they already had a child. Lin Chen was not at all flustered. He would be able to win Su Mengyao over completely sooner or later. What about the flowers? Su Mengyao frowned as the car returned to the residential area. Lin Chen said, you carry them up. Later, you carry the flowers, and I'll carry Xiao Qian and walk you to the outside of the residential area. Xiao Qian will probably be happy for a long time. Su Mengyao hesitated a little, but she still picked up the flowers, the card hidden inside which she had not yet noticed. Dad, Mom. The two returned home. Lin Xiaoxi shouted happily. Xin Qing's eyes revealed surprise. Su Mengyao was actually holding a large bouquet of roses. Could it be that Su Mengyao and Lin Chen had really started dating? Xixi, do you miss your mommy and daddy? Lin.
Chen hugged Lin Xiaoxi and kissed her, saying affectionately,
Lin Xiaoxi nodded repeatedly, I miss daddy and mommy.
What beautiful flowers.
Daddy, did you give these to mommy?
Yes. Lin Chen smiled.
Lin Xiaoxi blinked, Daddy, I'm your treasure too, don't I have pretty flowers too? Lin Chen. I miscalculated. Chapter 22, Lin Yu's Fairy Tale Collection. Su Mengyao smiled. Lin Chen scratched Lin Xiaoxi's nose and said, Our Xiaoxi also likes flowers.
This time Daddy forgot, but Daddy will remember next time.
He. Daddy, let's pinky swear.
Lin Xiaoqian held out her pinky and shook hands with Lin Chen.
Hey, what's this?
Xin Sheng saw the card hidden inside the flowers.
She reached out and took it out. Wife, I love you. Su Mengyao felt a bit superfluous here.
Xin Sheng read the heart-shaped card. Su Mengyao reached out and grabbed back the heart-shaped card.
She saw the words on it and the three little people drawn on it. Lin Chen, did you draw that? You're actually such a good drawer, it's lifelike. Xin Sheng exclaimed. Su Mengyao glanced at Lin Chen.
The three little people on the card were indeed well drawn, and Lin Chen's skills in drawing them were extraordinary.
Mom, I want to see it. Lin Xiaoxi held out her little hand. Su Mengyao gave the card to Lin Xiaoxi. Lin Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. Daddy, it's really good. Is this me? Is this mommy? Lin Chen smiled, yes.
If you like it, Daddy will draw you another one.
You give this one to mommy, it's for her. Lin Xiaoqian nodded. Mommy, here you are. Mommy, are you happy today? Xiaoqian is always happy when she goes out with Daddy. Lin Xiaoqian asked in a baby voice. Happy.
Xixi, I just got back from abroad, and there's still a lot of work to do at the company back home.
I have to go now, but I'll come back next week to see you, okay? Su Mengyao kissed Lin Xiaoxi. I'll be a good girl, Mom. I'm not fussy about food anymore. Lin Xiaoxi was a little reluctant, but she nodded. Xin Xing laughed, Xixi, it's because your father cooks so well that you're not fussy about food anymore, right? He. I have a good father.
Lin Xiaoqian smiled sweetly. Lin Chen said, Xiaoqian, Mom's car is parked outside, let's walk Mom and your Aunt Xingqing out.
Lin Chen and the other three went downstairs.
Su Mengyao was holding a big bouquet of roses in her arms, and everyone they met in the community looked at them. Su Mengyao felt quite uncomfortable.
But Lin Xiaoqian was very happy. Mengyao, drive safely. Lin Chen hugged Lin Xiaoxi and escorted Su Mengyao and the others to their car.
Su Mengyao had arrived in her own sports car. It was a red Porsche 911, which was very low-key for someone of her wealth.
Xixi, you must listen to your father.
Su Mengyao reminded her.
Lin Xiaoxi nodded, Mom, I will. Mom, you must come and see Xixi soon. Xixi will miss you a lot. Su Mengyao nodded. She was reluctant to leave.
But she is now the president of the group, with assets of 60 billion yuan, and many things require her decision. Some businesses also require her to personally run them. The group has developed to such a scale, does she have to abandon the entire group just to bring up her daughter? If it were just a 6 million company, she might just give up, but a 60 billion company is not something she can just give up.
Sell the shares and get 20 to 30 billion in cash?
Without the group and those connections, she might as well die quickly with 20 to 30 billion in cash.
All kinds of evil spirits might come knocking on her door. Boom! Su Mengyao drove away.
It wasn't a long way, and another car followed. This car had the bodyguards that Su Mengyao had hired.
Mengyao, what did Uncle Su investigate before? Or was he deceived, and the people investigating didn't look carefully enough?
Lin Chen's excellent cooking skills were never discovered. Xin Sheng said from the passenger seat of the sports car.
I don't know. Su Mengyao shook her head.
She was even more puzzled. Not only were his cooking skills never discovered, but Lin Chen was also proficient in 4 foreign languages.
Mengyao, how does it feel to go on a date? Xin Sheng asked with a smile.
She didn't know that Lin Chen and Su Mengyao had gotten married. Su Mengyao told her that she was going on a fake date with Lin Chen today to let Lin Xiaoxi know that her parents love each other. Su Mengyao said, "We're going on a fake date. If you want to know what a real date feels like, find a boyfriend." Xin Qing laughed. "Mengyao, I think it's not a bad idea for you to develop a relationship with Lin Chen in the future. Not to mention his cooking skills, if you really marry him, you'll have a great time eating every day."
Su Mengyao was silent. Xin Qing said, "The results of Su Shu's investigation show that he is very ordinary. However, he is a good cook, writes well, and paints very well.
He also has one more great quality."
Su Mengyao said indifferently, "What quality?"
Xin Qing, he is Xixi's father.
Look at how close they are.
I have spent more time with Xixi than he has, and Xixi is much closer to Lin Chen than to me. Blood ties are truly amazing." Su Mengyao said with a sigh, "I now know what they mean by a person's mouth is soft after eating. You've had Lin Chen over for dinner twice, and now you're trying to say good things about him no matter what.
What's the matter? Do you want to have dinner with him again in the future?" Xin Cheng nodded repeatedly, "Of course I do.
His cooking is better than that of a 5-star hotel chef.
His cooking is really good."
Su Mengyao said, "But don't sell me out for a few meals."
"Dad, I'm so happy."
Lin Chen and Lin Xiaoqian returned home, and Lin Xiaoqian said happily,
"What are you so happy about?" Lin Chen asked.
Lin Xiaoqian giggled and said, "Dad loves mom, and mom loves dad, so mom and dad won't get divorced. I'll be able to stay with mom and dad forever." Lin Chen kissed Lin Xiaoqian and said, "Don't worry, our family will definitely stay together forever."
Drip. Lin Chen's phone rang.
He took out his phone and saw that it was Chen Wenhan calling.
"What's the matter, Chief Editor Chen?" Lin Chen asked.
On the other end of the line, Chen Wenhan said, "Lin Chen, your book has already started printing.
Send a message to your readers. The website will have a link to buy it. Also, if you don't want to hold a book signing, can you get a batch of signed books? Buy the book and get a signed copy of your book for free."
Lin Chen thought for a moment and said, "Editor-in-Chief Chen, at that time, you can have someone send over 1,000 books, and I will sign 1,000.
"Good," Chen Wenhan said with joy.
Xixi, go play on the balcony by yourself.
Daddy has something to do, but I will be back soon to keep you company. P.S. Why do so many people think it's dangerous? This one is not dangerous. Please ignore its messiness."
Lin Chen smiled and said.
Lin Chen went into the study and turned on the computer. "Upload some more."
Lin Chen muttered to himself. He had only uploaded 30 fairy tales on Tongxin, and he still had 20 more in his computer. Soon Lin Chen uploaded 10 of them. The paper book Lin Yu story collection is in print, so stay tuned. After uploading the 10 stories, Lin Chen posted an announcement.
Chapter 23, Lin Chen's books are on sale. Lin Yu has updated 10 more chapters.
I just read one to my child, and she loved it. It's a bit strange to read on a mobile phone, but after I finished, my child was full of energy and wanted to keep reading on the phone. Upstairs, Lin Yu the Great God has issued an announcement. The paper books are already in print.
Many people left comments in the comments section. The first 30 chapters have already attracted many fans to Lin Chen. Many people didn't even know about tongxin.com before, they were introduced to it by others. Some groups of mothers have a lot of members. Some foreign fairy tales are very good, but because of the different cultural backgrounds, some children may find them strange. Many of the people who write fairy tales in China are not up to scratch. Lin Yu's works are closely related to Chinese culture, full of interest, and you can also learn knowledge from the fairy tales. My goddesses, Lin Yu has posted 10 more fairy tales, and they are going to be published in book form. Extra! Extra! Lin Yu is going to publish a paper book. After reading the announcement and the 10 newly uploaded fairy tales, many of Lin Chen's fans spontaneously started promoting him. After hearing the news, many people quickly logged onto tongxin.com. Boss, Lin Yu has uploaded 10 more fairy tales, and they are all classics. The feedback from readers has been very good. Chen Wenhan called Liang Zhirong. Liang Zhirong was surprised and said, 10 more? Yes. Liang Zhirong was overjoyed. As long as Lin Chen can maintain this level of performance, his popularity will definitely continue to grow. tongxin.com will definitely make a lot of money. Budget 500,000, and hurry up and promote it. Find more promoters. Liang Zhirong said sternly. Chen Wenhan was surprised. Boss, spend this much? Liang Zhirong said, yes, this money will not be a loss.
If you use other people to promote it, a lot of the traffic they bring in will not be retained, but Lin, you can make others stay on our website.
We won't lose money just from the increase in website traffic. Chen Wenhan, boss, I'll make the arrangements right away.
I suggest spending 500,000 of these 34 days. You decide what to do with the rest. Send the first batch of books to Lin Chen as soon as possible, and send him more, because he may want to give them to his relatives and friends. Liang Zhirong hung up after finishing speaking. Chen Wenhan quickly communicated with the website operators, who would find individual promoters to strongly recommend the book.
3,000 copies have already been printed?
Boss Lu, please pack 1,100 of them, and I'll arrange for someone to drive and pick them up.
Chen Wenhan spoke to the printing press owner on the phone.
This printing press was one they often worked with, and an hour later the person arranged by Chen Wenhan arrived. The 1,100 brand new books had also been packed. Be careful not to drop them.
Boss Lu personally had someone lift each cardboard box into the car.
Editor-in-Chief, the books have been loaded into the car. The driver driving the car contacted Chen Wenhan. On the other end of the line, Chen Wenhan said, Li, you'll have to make the trip and deliver these books to Linyu. It's an 80 to 90 kilometer trip, so be careful on the road.
There are 1,100 books in total, and you need to bring 1,000 of them back.
Linyu doesn't want his identity to be revealed, so you can't leak any information about him.
The driver's name is Li Lin, and he said apologetically, Editor-in-Chief, can I get a signed copy of the book by the great Linyu?
My wife and daughter are both fans of his.
Chen Wenhan, you can't have less than 1,000 copies. You ask Linyu to sign a copy for you, and he'll refuse? Bring me one too. Li Lin hurriedly said, okay.
After hanging up the phone, Chen Wenhan sent Li Lin his location.
After a night had passed, Li Lin arrived at the location indicated.
His place was a shopfront outside the Lin Chen residential area. The location of this shopfront was not very good, so the rent was not very expensive.
Lin Chen rented it yesterday. Editor-in-Chief Chen, I'm here. Li Lin called Chen Wenhan.
Li Xiao, there is a flower pot outside the door, with the key underneath.
Take the key and open the door.
After you've put the stuff in, lock the door and leave the key where it is.
Then, go find a hotel and get some rest. Chen Wenhan said.
Lin Chen had told him what to do last night.
Dad, where are we going?
After breakfast, Lin Chen carried Lin Xiaoqian to the rented door. He opened the door and saw 11 large boxes.
We've got a lot of work to do.
Lin Chen muttered to himself. He secretly felt lucky that he had only used 2 characters for his pen name. If he had used 4, the workload would have doubled.
Dad, what are we doing here?
Dad, what are these?
Lin Xiaoqian asked curiously.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Mommy has to work, and so does Daddy, right?
These are Daddy's work. Xiaoqian, why don't you draw there for a while? Lin Xiaoxi nodded obediently.
Inside this facade there was a table and chairs.
Lin Xiaoxi drew while Lin Chen took out a book and read.
After reading it all, Lin Chen didn't find any problems.
Swish.
Lin Chen began to sign. His calligraphy was masterful, and his signature was extremely beautiful.
Phew. After almost 3 hours of busy work, Lin Chen finally finished signing.
Editor Chen, I'll keep 1,100 copies for myself, 20 for myself, and have the other 1,080 copies delivered. You can arrange the extra 80 copies yourself. Lin Chen made a phone call to Chen Xinheng.
Okay. Lin Chen, you've worked hard.
Chen Xinheng said with a smile on the other end of the line.
After hanging up the phone, Lin Chen went over to Lin Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi, Daddy's done. Daddy's taking you to the playground.
Yes. Lin Xiaoqian said happily. In the afternoon, Li Lin, who had just woken up, arrived at the storefront.
A gift for Li Lin, Linyu. Lin Chen had deliberately left him a book. This is really nice handwriting. Li Lin's eyes lit up.
He had seen the signatures of many writers, and some people's handwriting was as bad as a dog's.
Lin Chen's handwriting was much better.
Li Lin was beaming with a smile. He had not made the trip in vain with this book.
His wife and daughter should be very happy. Time passed quickly and the next day arrived.
Li Lin had already returned the book, and Chen Xinhan told Lin Chen that Tongsun Wang would be open for purchase at noon.
How many people will buy it?
Lin Chen muttered to himself. The first print run was 300,000 copies, and if not many people bought it, it would be embarrassing to sell only 3,000 to 5,000 copies. However, Lin Chen believed that it shouldn't be that bad. The fairy tales he had uploaded were provided by the system, and they were all top-notch, so there was no reason for it to be a flop. Judging from the popularity of the website, there were also many people who wanted to buy it.
It was nearing noon. Many people were waiting for the purchase link to be released.
TongXIN.com had said that the first 50 purchasers would definitely receive a signed copy, and these would not be included in the 1,000 copies.
Here it comes. The purchase link came out, and many people quickly placed their orders.
TongXIN.com has a lot of traffic, and with the promotion, there are already millions of people who have read the fairy tales written by Lin Yu.
Many of them have already become loyal readers. The editor-in-chief exclaimed, "It's exploded." The number of purchases in 1 minute has already exceeded 10,000. Someone exclaimed in surprise.
Chen Xinhan's face broke into a smile and said, "It's normal for it to explode."
It would be strange if Lin Yu's quality didn't explode. Another editor joked, "If his book doesn't explode, I think we can all consider switching careers." Chapter 24 Su Mengyao rewards Lin Yu. Time passed by minute by minute.
10,000, 20,000, 30,000. The sales volume at the end of the first hour reached 100,000 copies. Of course, this does not mean that 100,000 people bought it. Some people will buy multiple copies, and the books may be lost or torn by children. For such high-quality books, buying them as gifts is also a very good choice. Some bookstores and libraries will also purchase them. They may buy dozens of copies at a time.
Lin Chen leaned down and kissed Lin Xiaoqian, who was taking a nap. Editor-in-chief Chen, there's no news at all, and sales are dismal?
Lin Chen went to the study, turned on the computer, and sent a message.
He logged into the author's account and took a look.
There had been quite a few new rewards, and there had also been many new clicks and new bookmarks.
Big guy, are you a little nervous? Chen Xinhan quickly replied to Lin Chen.
Lin Chen gave a faint smile. After all, it was his own book, and he was more concerned about it. But it definitely couldn't rise to the level of being nervous. He had a system, so how could he be nervous about this? If the children's story didn't make much money, the worst that would happen is that he would switch to another track.
It's okay.
Lin Chen replied.
Drip.
Chen Xinhan called, and Lin Chen answered. On the other end, Chen Xinhan said happily, "Lin Chen, 100,000 copies, it broke 100,000 copies in an hour." Lin Chen was a little surprised.
100,000 copies in 1 hour?
The first hour's sales must be the best, but at this rate, 300,000 copies may be sold in a day. Lin Chen, the quality of this book is there, as long as the user word of mouth is good, future sales will definitely be good.
The first month's sales will likely exceed 1 million copies.
Chen Xinhuan said excitedly. Lin Chen joked, "I'll be relieved when the first print sells out, don't you guys lose money directly."
Chen Xinhuan laughed and said, "As we just said, if a book like yours doesn't sell well, we can just switch careers."
Lin Chen, the boss will probably be looking for you tomorrow or the day after to order a reprint, and you'll make a lot of money again.
Lin Chen, if 300,000 copies sell out quickly, will they be able to print more?
Chen Xinhuan laughed on the other end of the phone and said, "Don't worry about that. The factory we're working with is a big one, and they're very idle now that there's less printing business.
As long as part.A pays quickly, they can print as much as they want."
After hanging up the phone, Chen Xinhan told the operations team to act quickly. The first hour's sales of 100,000 copies must be publicized immediately. Su Mengyao was brushing up on a short video in her spacious office. She had just finished a meeting and was relaxing. For all the mothers out there with children, I'm going to recommend a great book to you. It's my most highly recommended children's book of the year.
Su Mengyao brushed up on a short video.
She has a child, and big data often pushes this kind of thing to her.
A children's book? Su Mengyao clicked on it. Next time she goes to see Lin Xiaoxi, she can bring her a storybook.
But she has high standards, and she can't be bothered with ordinary books.
Time passed gradually, and Su Mengyao was completely absorbed in the book. Knock, knock. The office door was knocked on. Su Mengyao came back to her senses.
She was a little surprised that she, an adult, could be so absorbed in a children's book. This book is really good, each fairy tale is very good.
Su Mengyao thought to herself. President, you need to leave for the airport. The car is waiting for you downstairs.
Su Mengyao was reminded by her assistant. Su Mengyao now takes at least one flight a day, and sometimes 3, so she can be described as busy taking off every day. The company has a lot of business, and there is a backlog of business ahead.
Some of the business requires her, the president, to personally intervene, and even the company's vice president would not have enough weight. Let's go.
Su Mengyao arrived at the car park on the ground floor. She continued reading without finishing the book. Before she knew it, she had finished reading all 40 fairy tales by Lin Xuan.
They were all classics, amazing.
This Lin Yu will definitely become the king of stories.
Su Mengyao thought to herself.
She ordered 2 copies, one for her own home and one for Lin Chen. She could let Lin Chen read it to Lin Xiaoqian.
Reward him a little.
Su Mengyao muttered to herself. She was not in the habit of rewarding people, but she really thought Lin Yu's fairy tales were very good. The leader is 1,000 silver coins, the silver is 10,000 silver coins, and the gold is 100,000 silver coins. Su Mengyao noticed that Lin Yu did not yet have a silver.
There were already a dozen or so. I'll be the first silver. Su Mengyao rewarded 10,000 yuan.
It was a drop in the bucket for her to reward a gold alliance leader, but she didn't know much about Lin Yu. Maybe his work was good, but his character wasn't very good. For now, rewarding a silver alliance leader was enough. Even if his character wasn't good, his work was worth this much reward.
Hey!
Lin Chen was in front of the computer at this moment. He found that he had an extra silver alliance leader. 10,000 yuan for a silver alliance, this person quite supports me.
Thank you for your support. Lin Chen gave a brief thank you. Time flew to the next day.
Chen Xinhan and the others looked at the large screen, which displayed the sales numbers.
The numbers kept jumping.
Suddenly, the number jumped from 299,996 to 300,001.
Wow!
A round of applause sounded. It was now 10 a.m., 22 hours, and all 300,000 copies of the first print run had been sold. Boss, 300,000 copies have been sold.
Chen Xinhan quickly called Liang Zhirong. On the other end of the line, Liang Zhirong was overjoyed. This was a gamble that paid off. Chen, you call Lin Chen and ask him to print an additional 500,000 copies. Never mind, I'll call him myself. Liang Zhirong said. Soon after, Liang Zhirong called Lin Chen. Lin Chen was surprised. Mr. Liang, you're printing an additional run already?
On the other end of the line, Liang Zhirong laughed out loud. Yes, let's not engage in hunger marketing, just go for quantity and satisfaction.
As long as the users like it, I'll try to satisfy them. Lin Chen, let's sign the online contract for the reprint. I'll transfer the money to you as soon as the contract is signed.
The contract is ready, just modify the data. In the next 10 minutes, Lin Chen signed the reprint contract with Tongxin.
Ding!
Less than 2 hours later, the bank sent a text message.
The account has received 2.35 million yuan.
He had originally transferred 700,000 to his family, leaving 700,000 odd, plus these 3.1 million. He was originally going to give 1 million, but his father stubbornly refused, and only after much persuasion did he let him transfer 700,000. According to his father, he only needed to give 500,000. In total, they spent 1 million, and they still had 300,000 to 400,000 in savings. Even if they borrowed some money, they would repay it themselves in the future. Even though Lin Chen is making money quickly these days, they know that it is not easy for Lin Chen to buy a good house in the Magic City. 3,100,000 yuan is still a long way from the house payment. Lin Chen muttered to himself. The additional print run of 500,000 copies.
Unfortunately, I didn't win the lottery and can only admire it online.
Many people who received the book posted pictures of it. Some people who received a signed book posted it online and in their circle of friends, and received many likes. This wave of enthusiasm has attracted many people to read the books. After reading, they felt it was good and they placed an order to buy it.
Sales and word of mouth are flying together, it's great.
The year before last, the sales of that person were still okay, but then word of mouth exploded, and in a short time sales plummeted.
Everyone at Tongxinwang is in a great mood.
Lin Yu has brought a lot of traffic to the website, and the boss has made money, so how can they not get a bonus? Chen Xinhan, looking at the situation, said that perhaps these 500,000 books could be sold in half a month. Liang Zhirong, the owner of tongxin.com, said to Chen Xinhuan.
He was in a very good mood.
The royalty rate he had agreed to pay Lin Chen was high, but it was nothing compared to the boost Lin Chen had given the website. Chen Xinhuan laughed. I originally estimated that it would take at least 20 days to sell 500,000 copies, but it doesn't look like it will take that long now.
Lin Chen's autograph has brought a lot of attention. Liang Zhirong said happily, we're saving money. I'm not sure if spending $1 million would have generated this much attention. Knock, knock.
The sound of knocking came from outside.
Come in. Liang Zhirong said.
Soon, a man pushed open the door and came in. He said happily, Boss, Gu Laosher, the president of the Calligraphy Association, has praised Lin Yu's calligraphy on Weibo. He also said that Lin Yu's fairy tales are very good and that he plans to read them to his granddaughter when the time comes.
Liang Zhirong's eyes lit up.
Even though the Calligraphy Association has little presence, people like Gu Laosher still have a lot of influence.
There are many official media outlets that pay attention to Gu Laosher. Boss, it's great that Gu Lao has come out in support.
I was worried that the tree would attract too much wind and that some people would jump out to smear it, but now I feel much more at ease.
Chen Xinhuan said with delight. With Gu Lao's open support, anyone who wants to smear it will have to think twice.
Liang Zhirong said excitedly, Gu Lao posted a message, and some state media are expected to help us with free publicity. The second batch may be sold out in 10 days.
Chen Xinhuan nodded. This is entirely possible.
If the buzz gets going, many people will spread the word on their own, and the good word of mouth will naturally lead to better sales. The fertility rate in China has dropped, but there were still quite a few children in the previous few years, and they are just the right age to listen to stories. Lin Chen's fairy tales are suitable for children aged 2 to 6 or 7, and there should be 50 million children at this age. The first and second batches combined only sold 800,000 copies.
Many parents are willing to spend money on their children.
Besides, a book doesn't cost much.
Knock, knock. Before long, someone knocked on Liang Zhirong's office door again. More good news?
Liang Zhirong asked, looking at the person who had just come in. Boss, just now a female celebrity posted that she had bought the book and read the story to her child. The child really liked it, and she recommended the book to her fans.
She has tens of millions of followers.
The editor who had just come in said excitedly.
Liang Zhirong and Chen Xinhuan exchanged glances. Chen, it seems we underestimated Lin Yu. Chen Xinhuan nodded. Celebrities cherish their reputation, they don't easily give free advertising like this. This is a genuine like.
If there's the first one, there might be more to follow.
Liang Zhirong and Chen Xinhuan went outside.
The sales curve was displayed on the big screen. It had originally dropped, but now it was rapidly increasing.
A celebrity with tens of millions of followers still has a strong influence.
In this situation, these 500,000 copies will be sold out in 10 days at most.
Chen Xinhuan said. Liang Zhirong laughed. Chen, you are being conservative.
We can't afford to hire a celebrity, but celebrities are very effective at boosting sales.
I don't think 500,000 copies will last a week. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. More than 10 celebrities had helped to promote the book for free. The second batch of 500,000 copies were completely sold out. Order another million copies? President Liang, don't let it slip through your hands.
Lin Chen said in surprise.
Chen Xinhuan didn't say anything, and he didn't ask either. He didn't expect that it would be sold out again in just 3 days.
Lin Chen, no, Lin Yu, you don't know how popular your fairy tale is right now. Order another million copies, and they will definitely be sold out in a month.
Liang Zhirong said with a smile. Lin Chen, Mr. Liang, since you are confident, I am sure it will be fine. Of course I want to be paid. Liang Zhirong coughed lightly and said, Lin Yu, there is a small problem.
Many people have reported that the second batch does not have signed copies.
Can you arrange another batch of signed copies for the third batch? Lin Chen. How many do you need? Liang Zhirong said, how about 2,000 copies?
Lin Chen sighed inwardly, signing 2,000 copies will take most of the day.
Okay. You can have Li Lin deliver the books to the usual place. Lin Chen said.
Soon Lin Chen and Liang Zhirong signed the third contract.
Last time, 500,000 copies were 2.35 million.
This time, for 1 million copies, he got 4.8 million. His royalty rate fluctuates depending on sales volume.
Ding. Liang Zhirong quickly arranged for the financial transfer.
Lin Chen's bank card balance suddenly reached 7.9 million. If it weren't for a city like the Magic City, 7.9 million might be enough to live comfortably for the rest of his life.
Wah wah, wah wah. Lin Xiaoqian cried. Lin Chen quickly came out of the study and went into the living room. Xiaoqian, what's wrong?
Lin Chen asked, quickly picking up Lin Xiaoqian in his arms.
Lin Xiaoqian's eyes were filled with tears. Daddy, I cut my hand, look, I'm hurt. Lin Chen quickly checked.
Lin Xiaoqian's hand was indeed a little red, but the skin was not broken, and if he had arrived a little later, the red mark would have disappeared.
Daddy will rub it for you. Xixi, be good, don't cry, it's okay. Lin Chen said. Lin Xiaoxi, Dad, aren't you going to put medicine on it?
When I got hurt before, Mom would put medicine on it for me.
Okay, Dad will put some on it for you.
Lin Chen was a little between tears and laughter. At this moment, the red mark was almost invisible.
He got the medicine box.
Worried that Lin Xiaoxi might get hurt or something, he prepared a medicine box with some common medicines.
The host applied medicine to Lin Xiaoxi and gained the ancient medical skills.
30 hours to reach the master level, and 60 hours to reach the grandmaster level. The system voice sounded in Lin Chen's mind. Lin Chen was stunned. Applying medicine to Lin Xiaoxi actually gained ancient medical skills.
This is quite strong.
Normally, it takes 10 hours to reach the master level, and 20 hours to reach the grandmaster level, but this one takes 3 times as long. Among the skills he has obtained so far, this one is the second most difficult, just like aircraft manufacturing technology, which requires even more effort.
It takes 50 hours and 100 hours respectively. Xiaoqian, it doesn't hurt anymore, does it?
Lin Chen said with a smile. It seems that he cannot look at it from an adult's perspective. Applying medicine to Lin Xiaoqian has unexpectedly brought such a great reward.
Ancient medical skills are really something. Hee, it doesn't hurt anymore. Dad is awesome.
Lin Xiaoqian said, hugging Lin Chen's head and giving him a kiss.
System, how do I improve this? It doesn't seem like there's much opportunity for it normally.
Lin Chen thought to himself.
System, host, it's common for children to get sick. Well, then I'll leave this alone for now. Lin Chen didn't want Lin Xiaoqian to get sick. Chapter 26 Daddy, it's your wife's phone.
Xiaoqian, this character is not written correctly.
Look at how Daddy writes it and then look at how you wrote it. Isn't there a difference? Lin Chen taught Lin Xiaoxi how to write.
Lin Xiaoxi already knew how to write her name, so he started with simpler characters.
Lin Xiaoxi studied very hard.
Dad, you're an adult, I'm a child, your steps are big, and my steps are smaller.
Lin Xiaoxi said innocently. Lin Chen laughed and explained, Xiaoxi, people are not divided into adults or children, and we don't describe children as little people. You can say you're a baby. You can also say you're a child. Lin Xiaoqian nodded as if she understood.
Lin Chen smiled and began to tell a story. Xiaoqian, a long time ago, we humans were just like other animals.
We had no words and could not write. So just think, what did people do in the past? Lin Xiaoqian, use their mouths like puppies?
Lin Chen laughed and said, when we are face to face, we can use our mouths, but what if we can't meet?
How do we tell each other? How do you warn someone that a place is dangerous, or how do you find your way home in the forest? Lin Xiaoqian pondered.
After a while, her eyes lit up. Dad, I know, they can draw pictures to tell others. Lin Chen rubbed Lin Xiaoqian's head and said, Xiaoqian is really smart, and that's what people in ancient times did at the beginning. The oldest writing is just like drawing pictures. Later, the wise men among humans slowly created writing. Lin Xiaoqian listened intently. Host, you have been teaching Lin Xiaoqian to write for 20 hours, and your calligraphy has improved to the level of a grandmaster. The system's voice sounded in Lin Chen's mind.
Lin Chen's face showed a faint smile. A lot of information kept flooding into his mind.
With the help of the system, Lin Chen quickly absorbed it all, as if he had been learning calligraphy for decades.
Half an hour passed. Xiaoqian, let's stop practicing calligraphy for now. You need to rest your eyes, and I'll teach you English.
Lin Chen and Lin Xiaoqian started talking to each other in English. He didn't teach Lin Xiaoqian vocabulary or grammar, just to speak. The more she spoke, the more she would learn. Most children don't need to learn English, but the Su family has a lot of business abroad, and the Su family's assets will probably be Lin Xiaoqian's in the future. He himself will also be able to earn a lot of money in the future, and he may also have business abroad, which will also be Lin Xiaoqian's. It is very necessary for Lin Xiaoqian to learn English. Host, your Japanese has reached a proficient level. After more than half an hour, the system's voice sounded. So far, Lin Chen has mastered English, German, French, Russian, Arabic, Portuguese, and Japanese. That's good, I won't need subtitles when watching movies in the future. Lin Chen muttered to himself. It is still necessary to learn Japanese. It can be used when watching small movies, and it can also be used if you go to the East Sakura country in the future. Learning English was so difficult in the past that I killed a lot of brain cells. Now I've easily learned 7 foreign languages. Lin Chen thought to himself. If he continues teaching Lin Xiaoxi, Lin Chen estimates that in the future he will be able to speak the language of an African indigenous tribe. Drip. Lin Chen's phone suddenly rang. It was Su Mengyao sending a video. He had already sent 2 WeChat videos to Su Mengyao, both in the evening, and Lin Xiaoxi wanted to video chat with Su Mengyao. It was now morning. At this time, Su Mengyao was usually busy working. Xiaoqian, it's mommy on video. Lin Chen connected the video call to Lin Xiaoqian. In the past, when they had video calls, he didn't talk much to Su Mengyao either. They had a child and had received their marriage certificate, so naturally he wanted to really win Su Mengyao over, but he didn't feel comfortable being too proactive. There was no way around it, the Zus were just too rich. He acted enthusiastic, or Su Mengyao and her parents felt that he was after the Zus money. Mom! Lin Xiaoxi cried out happily. Xixi, Mom will video chat with you again tonight. Mom has something to tell Dad now, so give the phone to Dad. Su Mengyao said with a smile. Dad, your wife is on the phone. Lin Xiaoxi said seriously like a little adult. Lin Chen took the phone and smiled. Mengyao, what's up? Su Mengyao said, Xixi, you play by yourself for now. Lin Chen, go to the study, I need your help with work. Okay. Lin Chen quickly went to the study. Su Mengyao asked, Lin Chen, you said you speak English, German, French, and Russian? Lin Chen nodded slightly. I also know a little Arabic, Japanese, and Portuguese. What's wrong? Su Mengyao was shocked. Lin Chen can speak more than those 4 foreign languages. I urgently need a German document, which involves a lot of technical terms. Our company's translation level is not high enough, so I don't know if you can understand it. Su Mengyao said. Lin Chen laughed and said, send it over, I'll take a look. Su Mengyao quickly sent the file over. Lin Chen opened the file and took a look. There shouldn't be any problems. I'll send you the translated file in half an hour. Lin Chen said. Thank you. Su Mengyao said. After the call, Lin Chen turned on the computer and quickly translated it. Even the difficult technical terms were a piece of cake for him. Su Mengyao sighed. Boss, we've contacted 4 translation companies, and they all said they couldn't finish it in 2 hours. They said there were too many technical terms. An assistant next to Su Mengyao said helplessly. I've found someone, so just wait. Su Mengyao said, and you can go now, I want to be alone. The assistant left, and Su Mengyao called her father. Dad, how is Mom? Su Mengyao asked. Su Guofeng, Su Mengyao father, smiled and said, your mother is recovering quite well. In another 2 months, once the situation stabilizes, your mother and I will return to China. Su Mengyao said in surprise, return to China in 2 months? It turns out that Su Guofeng planned to stay longer. Su Guofeng said helplessly, your mother misses home and misses Xixi. She can't wait to get on a plane and come back right now. Is Xixi doing well at Lin Chen's place? He knew that Lin Xiaoqian was with Lin Chen, but he had not contacted Lin Chen, and he did not approve of Lin Chen. Lin Chen was just SOSO, and he only had Su Mengyao as a precious daughter, so naturally he did not want Lin Chen to be with Su Mengyao. Fortunately, Su Mengyao did not have a crush on Lin Chen either. Su Mengyao said, Lin Chen is Xixi's father, and he is very good to Xixi, and Xixi is also very close to him. That's good. Su Guofeng said. Su Mengyao asked, Dad, you had Lin Chen investigated back then, and Lin Chen was mediocre in every way? Yes, why? Su Guofeng asked. Su Mengyao, Dad, who did you ask to investigate him back then? Did the other party not investigate in detail and fool you? Su Guofeng froze for a moment. Mengyao, do you mean Lin Chen is not ordinary? Su Guofeng asked. Chapter 27 Su Guofeng's Worries. Su Mengyao said, Dad, who did you ask to check? Su Guofeng said, my former bodyguard, Xiao He, did the checking. Lin Chen's family background is ordinary, his academic performance is ordinary, and although his appearance is passable, his clothing and appearance are very ordinary. Xiao He went to their village, to the high school he used to go to, and even asked his former homeroom teacher.
There shouldn't be any omissions. Why are you suddenly asking about this? Su Guofeng's heart tightened. Has his daughter fallen for Lin Chen?
Dad, he doesn't seem so ordinary. He's a very good cook, and he speaks several foreign languages.
Su Mengyao said. Su Guofeng said in surprise, he speaks several foreign languages?
I have his college entrance exam results, and his English score was just SOSO.
He barely passed the CET-4.
Su Mengyao said, his English is better than mine. Besides, he's also very good at Russian, German, and French.
Su Guofeng couldn't believe it.
Even if he was not good at anything else, his talent for languages was outstanding.
Why had he previously performed SOSO? Other times were fine, but even during the college entrance exam he hit it? Mengyao, are you sure?
Of course, I have communicated with him in English, and he has also communicated with others in Russian in front of me.
Su Guofeng, did you fall in love with him because of this?
Dad, of course not. Dad, I still have things to do here, so I won't talk to you now.
Su Mengyao hung up the phone. Su Guofeng was puzzled. How could someone change so much? He went to the hospital room. Honey, what's wrong with our daughter? Su Mengyao's mother Yang Qingyue asked, waking up. Su Guofeng sat down by the bed.
Honey, Mengyao called to say that Lin Chen doesn't seem to be that ordinary. Mengyao said that he speaks several foreign languages. He also said that he is a good cook.
Yang Qingyue was surprised. Did our daughter really say that? Yes. Su Guofeng nodded.
Then she should have some favorable impression of Lin Chen. She may already have a lot of curiosity about Lin Chen.
Yang Qingyue said. Su Guofeng's brows furrowed.
Yang Qingyue, honey, don't call her and tell her. Just let your daughter choose for herself.
Isn't your daughter smarter than you? Su Guofeng.
Even if he knows a few foreign languages, he's not good enough for Mengyao. Yang Qingyue said impatiently, in relationships, there is no such thing as being a good match or not.
It depends on whether there is a connection.
After that incident, my daughter had psychological scars, and she froze herself up. If Lin Chen can make her come out of it, it might not be a bad thing.
Su Guofeng looked at Yang Qingyue in surprise. My dear, that's not what you used to think. You used to want Mengyao to find someone who was a good match, too. It would be best if she could find someone even better.
Yang Qingyue, after going through the operating table and the gates of hell, I feel that many things are not that important.
As long as our daughter likes us, we don't need to care too much. Su Guofeng frowned, but. Yang Qingyue said, don't say but, help me up. Su Guofeng quickly helped Yang Qingyue up.
Husband, even if Lin Chen is ordinary, as long as our daughter likes him, our money is enough for them to spend 10 lifetimes.
Su Guofeng sighed lightly and said, wife, you don't understand. Yang Qingyue rolled her eyes and said, how come I don't understand?
Su Guofeng frowned and said, if our family only had 30 to 50 million, it wouldn't be a problem. While living a life of affluence, no one would find trouble with us.
We now have 30 billion. To the big sharks, we are just a piece of meat. Yang Qingyue said doubtfully, we haven't encountered any major problems along the way, have we?
Su Guofeng said, that's because I have a good father-in-law, but your father has been gone for 2 years.
We have used up most of the favors he left behind.
In the future, our road will definitely be much more difficult.
Yang Qingyue, we still maintain our connections, don't we? Su Guofeng shook his head, it's different.
Although our family is rich, we no longer belong to that circle.
At most, someone will target us in 2 or 3 years.
Yang Qingyue said, but that doesn't mean we have to sacrifice our daughter's happiness. Su Guofeng, I was hoping that Mengyao could find someone who was a good match for her and from a good family, so that both sides would be happy.
Su Guofeng let out a sigh when he said this. If only things had turned out differently back then.
Su Mengyao is unmarried and has a child, which will inevitably deter some powerful second and third generations.
Husband, don't think about it so much.
Even if we lose most of our wealth, 300 to 500 million yuan is enough for our family to live comfortably.
Yang Qingyue comforted. Su Guofeng nodded slightly.
Don't think about it too much, just focus on getting better.
There shouldn't be any problems in the next year or two. It's done.
Lin Chen gave a faint smile. He double-checked it to make sure there were no problems.
Su Mengyao, the translation is done. Lin Chen sent the translated document to Su Mengyao. Su Mengyao looked at the time.
She was surprised. Lin Chen had spent a total of 27 minutes.
Thank you. Including this time, is 20,000 yuan for the translation okay?
Su Mengyao replied.
Lin Chen. We have a child and are legally married, so we are considered friends, right? Don't pay for this little help between friends.
If you do, don't ask me for it in the future. I'm too lazy to earn this money. I have to take care of the child and don't have time for this. Lin Chen quickly replied.
Su Mengyao replied after a moment of silence, thank you. 5 minutes later, Su Mengyao's assistant said, President, the company's German translator said that the document is fine.
He said that the other party's level is much higher than his.
HM. Su Mengyao nodded slightly.
She marveled in her heart. They are a big company, and the level of translation in the company is still quite good, but it is actually so much worse than Lin Chen. English, Russian, and German are also strong, and Lin Chen's French is probably not much worse than these three.
Su Mengyao thought to herself.
Lin Chen sighed.
Dad, there are so many boxes.
Lin Chen took Lin Xixi to the rented storefront.
2,000 books had already been delivered.
There were 100 books per volume, and there were 20 large cardboard boxes on the floor.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Xixi, do you want to play for a while, or go to sleep?
Lin Chen had set up a small bed in the storefront.
Lin Xixi could work here at midnight. I don't want to go to sleep yet, I want to draw.
Lin Xiaoxian said in a baby voice.
Lin Chen smiled and said, okay, then you can draw for a while. Half an hour later, Lin Xiaoxian was sleepy.
Lin Chen carried her to bed, and she quickly fell asleep sweetly.
Swish. Lin Chen quickly signed a new book.
His signature seemed to be the same,
and smiled. Daddy, come here for a second.
Lin Xiaoxian called sweetly. Lin Chen squatted down next to Lin Xiaoxian.
Lin Xiaoxian, Daddy, look, this is you, this is Mommy, and this is me, don't I look good? Lin Chen looked at Lin Xiaoxian's drawing in amazement.
Lin Xiaoxian was so young, but she drew it very well.
Xiaoqian, you drew really well. It seems you have a talent for drawing. In that case, Dad will teach you more in the future. Lin Chen said.
The system's voice sounded in Lin Chen's mind, Host, your continuous improvement in certain abilities will have a strong impact on Lin Xiaoxi in this area.
Lin Chen's eyes lit up. His improvement in abilities can affect Lin Xiaoxi? System, just in certain areas? System, yes, host.
If you reach the Grandmaster level in a certain skill, you can double Lin Xiaoxi's talent in that area.
Legendary level is doubled, and mythical level is tripled. Lin Chen reached the Grandmaster level in painting yesterday.
Lin Chen thoughtfully mused, if Lin Xiaoqian is talented in a certain area, then doubling it is quite a lot.
If she has no talent, would tripling it be enough? System, yes, host. Lin Chen was overjoyed. This was pretty good too.
Lin Xiaoqian didn't need to be a genius in everything, it was enough if she could become very strong in the area she was talented in.
System, how do you calculate this 1, 2, or 3 times? Lin Chen asked while carrying Lin Xiaoqian home.
The numerical value of everyone's various talents ranges from a minimum of 0 to a maximum of 100.
Most people have a talent with a numerical value below 10.
A few people have a talent with a numerical value between 10 and 20. Very few people have a talent with a numerical value between 20 and 30. Ordinary people who have a talent with a numerical value of 30 are considered very good. However, even if they work hard, they will rarely see much effect from this kind of talent. Lin Chen sighed inwardly.
The gap between ordinary people and geniuses is too big. Most ordinary people can only play around with learning various arts. Want to rely on it to become successful in the future?
Very difficult, very difficult.
System, you continue.
The system said, a talent above 40 is in the category of geniuses, and above 60 can become a leader in the province. Above 70 is a national leader. Above 80 is a genius at the continental level, and above 90 is world class. Lin Chen said excitedly in his heart, if Xiao Qian's original talent is 20, and it is doubled to 40, tripled to 60, and quadrupled to 80?
Yes, host.
Lin Chen's face was full of smiles. Very good. Lin Xiaoqian will definitely have several talents reaching 20 or 30, and the probability of tripling it to exceed 90 is very high. It is also possible to reach the full value of 100. Tripling her talent value of 10 or so is also very high. What are you smiling at, Dad?
You seem very happy. Lin Xiaoqian asked in a baby voice.
Lin Chen smiled and said, because Dad loves you.
Dad is very happy just by holding you. Boo! Dad, I love you too. Lin Xiaoqian kissed Lin Chen sweetly and said. System, can you detect Xiaoqian's talent? Lin Chen asked in his mind. System, no.
With your abilities as the host, you can judge it during the companionship process.
HM.
Lin Chen did not feel any regrets.
He thought about it.
Among his current skills, those that have reached the level of Grandmaster are cooking, fairy tale creation, calligraphy, painting, and driving.
Foreign languages also count.
Football, singing, and shooting are not yet at the Grandmaster level.
As for cooking and driving, I don't know about Lin Xiaoxi's talent. As for fairy tale creation and calligraphy, Lin Chen estimated that Lin Xiaoxi's talent was most likely below 20.
The improvement was not particularly obvious.
The improvement in foreign languages and painting was more obvious, especially painting.
The improvement in painting talent was the most obvious.
Xiaoxi's talent in painting should be close to or even exceed 30.
Lin Chen thought to himself. Lin Xiaoqian's talent in drawing should now be around 60.
Provincial level top talent.
If it were to double again, her talent in drawing would be around 90.
Above 90 is world class. Xiaoqian, do you like drawing very much? Lin Chen asked.
Yes.
Lin Xiaoqian nodded.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Xiaoqian, from now on, I will spend a little more time teaching you to draw.
Is that okay? Lin Xiaoqian happily said, yes, yes.
Lin packed the book and drove back that night. Editor-in-Chief, Lin Yu's autographed book has arrived. Chen Xinhuan reported to work.
HM.
Chen Xinhuan went to the place where the books were stored.
He opened a box at random and took out a book. Eh? Chen Xinhuan's eyes revealed a look of surprise.
He rubbed his eyes. The handwriting was the same, but it seemed that he always felt that Lin Chen's character seemed more beautiful. Chen Xinheng had Lin Chen's previous signature.
He found the previous signed books for comparison. What's going on? Obviously they are the same, but I always feel there is a difference. Chen Xinheng thought to himself. Lao Feng, come here for a moment.
Take a closer look at these two signatures.
Chen Xinheng called out. The other editor approached. Soon he said in surprise, Chief Editor, what's going on?
I feel that this signature looks more comfortable.
This is the one at the back, right? Chen Xinhuan nodded, I also think this one is better. There is an indescribable beauty. Wait, let me check the rest of the books. Chen Xinhuan took out more signed books.
The signatures on these books were all better than the original. Editor-in-Chief, perhaps it is because Lin Yu has gained some experience after signing so many books that his signature looks better. Editor Feng said with a smile.
Chen Xinhuan nodded slightly, maybe. The third batch of 1 million copies, 1 in 500. Don't make a mistake.
Editor Feng nodded, don't worry, there won't be any mistakes. Chen Xinhan picked up a signed book that had been collected at the back. I'm going out for a while, so call me if there's anything.
An hour later, Chen Xinhan arrived at a villa community. He was visiting an elderly man.
This man used to be a member of the National Calligraphy Association, and he is a figurehead in the calligraphy world. The current president of the Calligraphy Association has to call him uncle when they meet.
Chen Xinhan had visited him once before. Ding dong. Chen Xinhan rang the doorbell. The nanny quickly opened the door.
An old voice came from inside, Chen, I'm not very mobile, so I won't greet you.
Just come in yourself.
When Chen Xinhan arrived at the villa, he bowed with a bent back, Master Jiang, long time no see.
Master Zhang's name is Jiang Xuesong, and he nodded slightly, it's been 4 or 5 years.
I'm old now, and I don't see guests casually.
What brings you here, Chen?
He doesn't welcome you if you just drop by for no reason.
Grandpa Jiang, I want to ask you to help me look at a signature.
Chen Xinhan said respectfully.
Chapter 29, The Calligraphy Master is shocked. Jiang Xuesong asks, what signature?
Chen Xinhuan, the signature on this book, please take a look. I have seen a lot of calligraphy works, and this signature gives me a rather special feeling.
What's so special about it?
Jiang Xueson puts on his reading glasses.
Chen Xinhuan clears his throat. Mr. Jiang, I'm not very good, I can't put it into words. But I always feel very comfortable looking at it, I can get lost looking at his signature.
Jiang Xueson laughed. That means you're still at the beginner's level. Ordinary people see mountains and water as water. You've reached the second level, where mountains are not mountains and water is not water.
Let me see. Chen Xinhuan quickly opened the book. Grandpa Jiang, this is the signature.
Jiang Xueson laughed. It's Lin Yu.
Someone showed it to me.
His calligraphy is quite good.
Ha!
Jiang Xueson was stunned. He leaned closer and looked carefully.
1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Chen Xinhuan didn't say a word, he waited quietly.
5 minutes passed, and Jiang Xueson let out a sigh. Amazing, Lin Yu's calligraphy level is above mine. I originally thought I was a little better than him, but now it seems that he has broken through to a higher realm.
Chen Xinhuan, Grandpa Jiang, what realm are you talking about?
Jiang Xueson took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. My calligraphy is okay, I'm considered quite famous these days, but in the long river of history, I'm nothing. Lin Yu's calligraphy is on a par with Yan and Lu.
Chen Xinhuan said in shock, Yan Jinqing and Lu Gongquan? Mr. Jiang, aren't you a little overstating it?
Yan Jinqing and Lu Gongquan were also top calligraphy masters in the long river of history, and above them was only the sage of calligraphy, Wang Xixi.
Not really. Lin Yu's level is indeed that high.
But strangely, I have never heard of anyone else in the calligraphy world who was so good.
Jiang Xueson said doubtfully. Chen Xinhuan, Mr. Jiang, perhaps he is only good at signing his name, and his other characters may be just so. Jiang Xueson shook his head. Chen, that's impossible. Do you think that if you don't reach such a level, you can reach it by writing more? Without that level, you won't be able to read it. Chen Xinhuan sneered. He is one of the people who can't read it. Jiang Xueson, Chen, I'm not talking about you. You can see that it's not simple, and your level is quite good. Where is the master Lin Yu?
I'll pay him a visit.
Chen Xinhuan hurriedly said, Master Jiang, you're over 80 years old, how can you travel far?
Lin Yu is a fairy tale author on our website.
Ha! Jiang Xueson was stunned for a moment. At his level, writing fairy tales for you? Chen Xinhuan nodded, he is very good at writing fairy tales. This is his book, which sold millions of copies in a few days. Sigh. Jiang Xueson sighed. Calligraphy doesn't make money, but you guys do. There aren't many people in the whole country who can appreciate his level of calligraphy.
Chen Xinhuan respectfully said, Master Jiang, although calligraphy doesn't make money, the top calligraphy masters have a high status and may be remembered for 100 generations.
Jiang Xueson, Master Lin Yu is completely likely to be remembered for 100 generations. I'm not even close to being a master. Chen, Master Lin was in his 60s or 70s, wasn't he? Chen Xinhuan froze for a moment. Lin Chen was in his 60s or 70s? Grandpa Jiang, he's not yet. Jiang Xueson was shocked, he's only in his 50s? At this age and with this level of mastery, he's amazing. Chen Xinhuan coughed lightly, Grandpa Jiang, calm down. Lin Yu is only in his 20s now. Jiang Xueson was stunned. Half a minute later, he shook his head, no way, absolutely not, how can someone in their 20s have reached such a level?
Chen Xinhuan said, Mr. Jiang, I have met him.
He is indeed only in his 20s. Jiang Xueson put on his reading glasses again.
He looked at the signature for a while longer.
It's impossible. Could it be that someone else signed it for him?
Jiang Xueson said, a little incredulously.
Chen Xinhuan said, I don't think so.
He is extremely talented at writing fairy tales, so there is no need for him to fake his signature. If it is discovered, it will be a huge stain.
Jiang Xueson, Chen, you can contact him, right? Can you ask him to write a piece of calligraphy for me? I will pay 300,000. Shall I ask him now? Chen Xinhuan said. Jiang Xueson nodded, yes, just write the preface to the Orchid Pavilion. Chen Xinhuan dialed Lin Chen's phone. Lin Yu, big guy, are you free right now? I need to ask you something. Lin Chen's voice came over the phone, sure, what's up?
Chen Xinhuan said, Big brother Lin Yu, I know a calligraphy enthusiast who thinks your signature is very good and wants to pay 300,000 for a piece of your work.
Is that okay? Lin Chen was surprised. 300,000?
He originally thought that he could make a lot of money from calligraphy, but after actually coming here, he checked it out and realized that he was a bit naive.
Nowadays, there are too few people who know calligraphy.
With the popularity of computers and mobile phones, many people's handwriting is getting worse and worse. Calligraphy works in the live broadcast room, 199 packaging and framing, delivered to your door.
You say you write better than they do? How can the average person read it?
Yes, he wants a copy of the Orchid Pavilion preface.
Is that possible? Chen Xinhuan asked. Lin Chen laughed. 300,000 yuan. How could he not make that money?
In the past, he made a few thousand yuan a month, and 300,000 yuan would take a few years. No problem, I'll send it to you by express delivery after I've finished writing it.
Okay. After hanging up the phone, Chen Xinhuan said, Master Jiang, I will send it to you as soon as I receive it.
Jiang Xuesong nodded, I will transfer the money to you, you can give him the money first, the work must be paid for in advance.
Jiang Xuesong quickly transferred 300,000 yuan to Chen Xinhuan.
He lived in a villa worth tens of millions of yuan, and had tens of millions more lying in the bank, so 300,000 yuan was not much to him. It's not bad to be able to make money from your calligraphy while you're still alive. Lin Chen muttered to himself. With Lin Xiaoqian by his side, Lin Chen went to a specialty store for the four treasures of the study to buy everything, and bought the best quality brushes, ink sticks, paper and ink stones. Even if someone spent 300,000 yuan to buy them, he couldn't fool them.
Maybe he could even buy them back?
Although fairy tales made a lot of money, the pace was still not fast enough.
Dad, what are you doing? Lin Xiaoqian asked with confusion when they got home.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Dad is writing. Lin Xiaoxi, you haven't seen many of the characters I've written before, so I'll write now and you can take a good look.
I'll be good, Dad. Lin Xiaoxi said, sitting on the dining chair. Lin Chen spread out the paper and went over the preface to the Orchid Pavilion in his mind.
His calligraphy was now at the level of a grandmaster, and he was a grandmaster at all kinds of styles. He of course knew Wang Shiji's running script. He also had a very high level of understanding of the preface to the Orchid Pavilion. In the 9th year of Yonghe, in the year of Guizhou, at the beginning of late spring. Dipping the brush in the ink, Lin Chen wrote with flowing lines. Lin Xiaoqian looked at Lin Chen quietly. Lin Chen was now focused, with an extraordinary momentum. When signing his name, Lin Chen was free and easy, using a regular signature pen, and his level of skill was not fully displayed. Now that someone was sincerely buying it, he could not settle for less.
Phew!
After finishing all the more than 300 characters, Lin Chen let out a sigh of relief. After checking it once, Lin Chen's face broke into a smile. Although it was the first time he had written it, the system made it seem as if he had written it thousands of times, and there was nothing wrong with the work.
Lin Chen. Lin Chen signed his name. Dad, you're so handsome. Lin Xiaoqian looked at Lin Chen with admiration. Lin Chen scratched her little nose and laughed. Xiaoqian, you're so young, do you know what handsome is? Hee, anyway, Dad is the handsomest.
Lin Xiaoqian smiled sweetly.
Chapter 30, Mom, do you want to sleep together tonight? When buying the writing brush, ink stick, paper and ink slab, Lin Chen bought a painting tube.
After the ink dried, Lin Chen rolled up the written characters and put them inside.
He wasn't responsible for framing it. Ordinary framing might not satisfy the other party.
Soon Lin Chen mailed the written characters.
Dad, what kind of ball is that? That ball is so big. Lin Xiaoqian asked in a baby voice. She saw a little boy shooting a basketball.
Lin Chen felt that the basketball was too big and didn't buy her one.
Xiaoqian, that's a basketball.
You shoot it with your hands, and you kick a soccer ball with your feet. Lin Chen said with a smile.
Lin Xiaoqian, can I play basketball with that brother? Then you have to ask that brother yourself.
Lin Chen put Lin Xiaoqian on the ground and said.
Lin Xiaoqian was timid.
She talked a lot with adults and was good at expressing herself, but she didn't play with other children much. In the past, the nanny took her out, afraid that she would fight with other children or get hurt. She rarely let her play with other children.
Come over here.
Lin Chen naturally dared to let her play with other children. But there was a small problem. The other children's fathers played with them less and were basically brought by their mothers.
It didn't seem appropriate for him to join in. This is a problem.
Lin Chen thought to himself. Lin Xiaoxian not only needs his company, she also needs friends. She needs to learn how to get along with other children.
Don't be afraid, Xiaoqian. I'm here, aren't I? Xiaoqian, you're a brave little baby. Lin Chen smiled as he crouched down. Lin Xiaoqian walked over with Lin Chen's encouraging gaze. I'm Xiaoqian, can we play together? No way.
The little boy quickly walked away with the basketball in his arms. Lin Xiaoqian looked at Lin Chen with a sense of grievance, and tears quickly welled up in her beautiful, watery eyes. Lin Chen walked up to Lin Xiaoqian and hugged her, saying, Xiaoqian, you were great just now. You didn't know that boy, but you were very brave to go up and say hello to him.
Lin Xiaoqian's tears suddenly stopped flowing. Dad, was I really great?
But that boy wouldn't play ball with me. Lin Xiaoqian said a little sadly. Lin Chen kissed Lin Xiaoqian and smiled, of course you were great.
It's fine if that older boy didn't want to play with you, maybe he wanted to play with a bigger kid. As long as Xiaoqian is always as brave as you are, you will definitely find kids who want to play with you. Lin Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. Dad, really? Lin Chen nodded, of course. Do you still want to play basketball? If you want, Dad will take you to buy one. Lin Xiaoqian nodded.
There was a stationery store nearby, and soon Lin Chen bought back a basketball.
Pawn.
Lin Chen played with Lin Xixi. Table tennis and badminton were not suitable for Lin Xixi, but she could play basketball and football. She was only a little over 2 years old, so she couldn't learn much, but playing basketball and football could make her limbs more agile.
Soon 5 minutes passed.
Host, your basketball skills have begun to improve.
10 hours to reach master level, 20 hours to reach grandmaster level.
40 hours to legendary, 80 hours to mythical. The voice of the system sounded in Lin Chen's mind. Lin Chen's face revealed a faint smile.
Sure enough, he had gained another skill. Basketball was more practical than football for him.
There were basketball courts everywhere in the country, but football pitches were much rarer.
System, how much has my physical fitness increased? Lin Chen asked in his mind.
System, your physical fitness has increased by a total of 51 points.
Currently, your physical fitness is 112 points. The average male physique is 60 points, and he has almost doubled it. Lin Chen's face showed a faint smile.
With a doubled physique, his combat effectiveness can increase more than tenfold. If both sides are unarmed, he can now fight almost 10 people by himself. Lin Chen didn't want to fight, but as a man, he definitely wanted his combat effectiveness to be stronger.
Dad, this ball is naughty. It keeps running.
Lin Xiaoqian looked at Lin Chen and pouted.
Lin Chen smiled and said, Xiaoqian, that's because you and it aren't good friends yet.
If you play with it often, it will become your good friend and stop running around.
Really?
Of course it's true. An hour passed and Lin Chen's ball skills improved greatly. 10 hours would be enough to reach master level, which was not a short time. His current ball skills were enough to make the university team. Plus, with his strong physique, dunking the ball should be easy.
In a real confrontation, the main players on the school team would probably not be able to compete with him. Drip. Lin Chen's phone suddenly rang. It was Su Mengyao calling. Lin Chen answered the call and put it on speaker. Xiaoqian, it's Mommy's phone, you talk to Mommy.
Lin Xiaoqian said sweetly, Mommy, I miss you so much, when are you coming to see me and Daddy?
Daddy misses you too. Lin Chen. Su Mengyao's voice rang, Xiaoqian, Mommy's here. But Mommy didn't see you when she got home. Lin Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. Mom, we're playing ball down here. Come down too. Lin Chen laughed, Mengyao, are you coming down?
You can hang out with Xiaoxi for a bit later, I'll go back and cook.
Su Mengyao, I cooked last time, I'll cook this time, you and Xiaoxi come back in an hour. Are you sure?
Yes. Su Mengyao hung up after she finished speaking. Lin Chen shook his head. Su Mengyao probably didn't want to owe him anything, and it wasn't going to be that easy to win her over. But he wasn't in a hurry. He had a child, a marriage certificate, and the system on his side, so why should he panic?
Dad, are you going to eat Mom's cooking tonight? Lin Xiaoxi asked. Lin Chen nodded, yes, Dad hasn't tried Mom's cooking yet. Is it delicious? Lin Xiaoxi tilted her little head and thought for a moment. It's edible.
Lin Chen laughed silently.
Lin Xiaoqian thought about it for several seconds and came up with that answer. Xiaoqian, mom's cooking may not be as delicious as dad's, but she does her best for us, right? We'll say it's delicious later, and we'll eat more, okay? Lin Chen said. Lin Xiaoqian looked at Lin Chen doubtfully and said, Is this lying? Mom says good babies can't lie.
Lin Chen thought for a moment and said, Xiaoqian, lies can be divided into malicious and benevolent.
This is a kind of benevolent lie. If mom is happy, the whole family will be happy, don't you think so? Lin Xiaoqian nodded as if she understood. An hour later, Lin Chen and the others returned home.
After playing basketball for 2 hours, Lin Chen's ball skills had skyrocketed.
Lin Chen, Xiaoqian, go wash your hands and eat. Su Mengyao said.
Lin Chen looked at Su Mengyao and froze.
Su Mengyao was wearing an apron. She was the daughter of a wealthy family and the CEO of a company. She looked very charming with an apron on. However, Lin Chen glanced at the table. Su Mengyao had made 4 dishes, but they didn't look very appetizing. Mom, it's getting dark. Are we going to sleep together tonight?
After washing her hands, Lin Xiaoxi sat down in the dining chair and said hopefully.